Nye galamsey enti me de me lances no e de kire omo ama omo hunu ye de to so bio omo sa ka se me ye adwuma e wo forest and so me ka kire omo se enye me a
I am not engaged in galamsey. I showed them my license. They said I worked in forest, but I haven't worked in any forest. If they have any evidence, they should show it. They gave me bail with 2 sureties.
Enumu ana yewie no omo ema bail 2 sureties. Anya no kreda sama je cocoa board fosika. Obia no sa wo kọ no wakwakoye roader anya buy na mauska.
It is not true that I took money from Cocoa Board. If you're going to construct roads, government does not give you any money, but you rather use your money to construct the road. My contract with Cocoa Board has it that I should be paid within 28 days, but it took about 3 years before I was paid.
Well, talk about a false start. Again, good morning. Thank you so much for your company here. This is Key Points. I'm Keminni Amanor. We are live on TV3 and also on 392.7. Check us out also on x.com, YouTube, and facebook.com. Now, I hope that the video you just saw gives you an idea of the things to come up today, but let me tell you all about them. The Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision earlier this week, dismissed an injunction filed by suspended Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Araba-Tokonu, seeking to stop the ongoing probe into 3 separate petitions seeking her removal from office. Now, the court, presided over by Acting Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Boni, held that the motion for interlocutory injunction against Justice Poaman's committee lacked merit. Justice Tokonu wanted the court to halt her suspension and the impeachment proceedings against her pending the final determination of her suits challenging the constitutionality of the impeachment proceedings against her. Now, this decision, as you may be aware, marks a significant development in the ongoing legal battle surrounding the suspension of Justice Tokonu and the constitutional questions it raises. We'll take a critical look at the relief sought by the suspended CJ in her supplementary affidavit and the court's subsequent decision to dismiss same. Also coming up today, another big story that came up in the course of the week. Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dr. Justice Shremsai, revealed that the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bernard Entwibwe-Siako, we all know him as Chairman Wontumi, who has been under detention in detention really, for an active criminal investigation by the Economic and Organized Crime Office. The charges under investigation include fraud, causing financial loss to the state, and money laundering. Now, earlier on Thursday, the minority caucus boycotted Parliament and together with other party supporters staged a march to the Yoko offices here in Accra. I'm sure you recall that perfectly when they did that sit-in protest, sat on the floor, demanded the release of Chairman Wontumi, but also asked that the bill be varied. We are now being told that he has been moved from Yoko custody to the National Intelligence Bureau. And as you saw also last night, they were there as well to demand his release And when I say they were there, it wasn't just the MPs. We saw stalwarts of the party, former government officials, and the former Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. And so we'll look into that also because there was a mind-blowing interview from the Council of Chairman Wontumi in the last hours of the night yesterday when he described the sit-in, the protest as theater. What does that mean? He also talked about the fact that, listen, Brian A. Champon, who is the former Agric minister, is also a former national security minister. He himself also has made available the bill conditions. However, they are facing obstacles. The question now will be, what are the obstacles? He makes us know that they are legal obstacles, but are we referring to that suit in court or the application in court seeking a variation of the bill conditions? Is that a legal battle now? We'll also get into that as well. But also lastly, in this edition of Key Points, we'll also have a conversation about the ongoing demolition exercise at the Sakumo Ramsar site, which unfortunately has been encroached by private developers. Now, you very well know this is not the first time it is happening. It's not the first time we're seeing demolition in areas considered wetlands. But the question is, why does it keep happening? Hopefully, in the course of our conversation today, we'll find some lasting solutions to recommend to the government of the day. So that's what the show is going to look like today. The biggest stories of the week, the CJ suspension and the impeachment process and all the applications that have been thrown out so far by the Supreme Court. We've counted 5. We know that there's a substantive matter still in court. Chairman Wontumi's detention, his ability to meet bail conditions, and the charges that the Attorney General's office, or well, maybe not at this point charges, but the investigations, the offenses that he's been investigated for, including fraud, cross-border financial crimes. We'll look at that and how dire the situation is for Chairman Wontumi. Again, these are just accusations at this point. He's a suspect in the matter. He hasn't been charged with anything. And you know, on the flip side of it, perhaps that is why there has been a lot of call for his immediate release, gone past what we used to know as the 48 hours to hold somebody. But then also, those who continue to develop properties in wetlands, why do they continue to do so? Why do officials continue to watch them do those things? Put all of that into perspective and then have a conversation about these demolition exercises. This is Key Points. I'm Keminni Amanor. I'll be right back. Don't go away.
Listen up. Politics is on a mission. It makes our gums happy and our teeth strong. See? We're moving forward and making changes.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with
Hello there. It's good to see you again. This is still good key points here on TV3 and on 392.7. We've already given you a rundown of what our biggest stories are today. We'll look at the impeachment proceedings against the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. We'll also look at the arrest and detention of Chairman Wontumi, and then the demolition exercises in the bids to restore our Ramsar sites. We'll look at those as well. So let's start off with our very first topic to do with the impeachment proceedings against the CG. In the course of the week, first thing Monday morning, we were hit with that application she made to the Supreme Court indicating why the processes should be halted. And I want to take you through some of those things. It's more than a dozen-point application to the Supreme Court, about 16, if I remember correctly, where she indicates concerns she has with the impeachment process so far. Things she say are a violation of her fundamental human rights to start with, also an affront to the judicial process. And now we can look at what exactly she meant by those things. Now, in that application, she says a declaration that upon a true and proper interpretation of Article 17(1) and 2, 19, 13, 14, 146, 7, and 8281 and 295 of the Constitution, a Chief Justice has the right to a public hearing in proceedings before a committee appointed by the President to inquire into a petition presented for the removal of the Chief Justice. A declaration that upon a true and proper interpretation of the same articles, the right of a Chief Justice to a public hearing and all the incidents of a fair hearing may only be excluded in the interest of public morality, public safety, or public order. She also asked for a declaration that under the same articles, a Chief Justice who is called upon to participate in a hearing conducted by a committee constituted under Article 1466 to inquire into the merits of a petition seeking the removal from office of the Chief Justice can waive the privilege of in-camera proceedings. And then she mentions a host of articles from the Constitution as well, that a determination of a prima facie case in respect of a petition for the removal of a Chief Justice or Justice of the Superior Court of Judicature is a quasi-judicial process requiring a judicious evaluation culminating in a reasoned decision. And then a declaration that under the same articles, the purported prima facie finding in respect of 3 petitions presented for the removal of the Chief Justice and served on the plaintiff by a letter dated 22nd April 2025 does not amount to a proper determination of a prima facie case and is therefore null and void and of no effect. But there's also more, because again, she says that a declaration that under the same articles, the purported finding by the President that a prima facie case has been made against the plaintiff and served on the President by a letter dated 22nd April 2025 was arbitrary, capricious, in violation of the right of the plaintiff to a fair trial and therefore unconstitutional, void, and of no effect. And then there's a few more, because we know that when she filed that interlocutory injunction, it was a supplementary affidavit application, right? When she filed that, the Attorney General of the day, Dr. Dominic Ayene, also filed a similar supplementary application in response to what she had done already. And I think we can show you that as well. Or perhaps it will take us a little while. But essentially, she had asked that a few things from the application be struck out. And I think we can show you just a few of those things right now. The purported finding of a prima facie case does not amount to a proper determination of a prima facie case and is therefore null and void. That is coming from Justice Gertrude Torkornoo's 5th application that was unanimously dismissed. The 3rd application, which was also dismissed by a 4-1 majority, failure of the President to publish regulations to guide the exercise of discretion in the determination of the prima facie case and the setting up of the Committee on Constitutional Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems. That one was also dismissed by a 4-1 majority. So that's the third application. Remember, I told you that so far we've counted about 5 of them already. The fourth application then said, also by a 4-1 majority, failure of President to serve the Chief Justice a copy of the determination of the prima facie case was unconstitutional. That was the argument being made. That was also thrown out. Then the second application struck out for want of prosecution, failure of the President to first forward petitions to the Chief Justice for a response before consultation with the Council of State is unconstitutional, was struck out along the line. But, I mean, while we have not been able to bring you the Attorney General's response to the supplementary affidavit that was filed earlier in the week, we know that she had asked that the issue of mental torture that the suspended CJ had indicated in her own affidavit be struck out. And we know that in the sittings in the course of the week, the Supreme Court agreed with that. And we can also show you that after the hearings in court, when the interlocutory injunction was also thrown out, the counsel for the suspended Chief Justice, Godfred Dame, had a few things to say about the decision of the Supreme Court. Let's take a listen now.
Was not pleased with the outcome.
I'm quite surprised that the Supreme Court for more or less acceding to the expectation of such violations against the highest judicial official. The issues are far reaching and they actually hinge on matters which affect the independence of Ghana's judiciary, the security of tenure of judges and all. But if the Supreme Court, for whatever reasons, does not seem to take that view, well, so be it. I think that in future, the whole nation will get to know.
He maintained that the suspended Chief Justice will continue to assert her rights.
She knows what is due process. She knows what is constitutional rights. And I think that's what she's asking for. And how can it be correct that a judge who sat on 2 matters, of which she also sat, be called as witness in a petition against her, and that same judge be made the chairman of the committee that is supposed to inquire into the petitions against the Chief Justice.
The full judgments by the Apex Court will be made available on June 12th. What does this mean for the entire impeachment process of the Chief Justice? Well, in a nutshell, it means that the Committee of Inquiry probing the petition to remove the Chief Justice will continue unabated until a final determination is done.
Well, now, so that was Godfred Dame's response to the decision that the Supreme Court had taken. I think I can show you now the Attorney General's response to the court regarding the application that the suspended Chief Justice had made. One of the arguments that were raised include whether or not the AG should be representing the other members on the committee. So the AG prayed for the exclusion from the suit the 5 members of the committee probing the petitions against the CJ. He argued they are not proper parties on the face of the writ of summons, and this was overruled. The Supreme Court's decision, from what our court correspondent had told us, was that the reasons that they were representing the state, and for that matter, the Attorney General could represent them in this case. Now, the CJ's lawyer, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, also raised an objection against the AG's representation of the members of the committee probing the petition seeking the removal of the CJ. I think we have dealt with that already. Let's take a look at the next one just before we get into our conversation. Perhaps it would appear that that will be all for now. So let's get into the conversation proper. With me in the studio are gentlemen of expertise and knowledge, right? So I'll quickly introduce them. To my immediate left is Alexander Chumberima, who is Deputy Director General of Narcotics Control Commission. Next to him is lawyer Martin Kpebu. You already know him. And then next to lawyer Martin Kpebu is another private legal practitioner Christian Malm Hesse. Gentlemen, you're welcome to Key Points.
Thank you.
It looks like you should be telling me I'm welcome since I'm the new face here.
I remember Mama Yarga calling me co-host. Yeah, that's what he said some months ago, last year, because I've been kind of made permanent here, right? So we can say welcome to Keminni as well.
Yes, thank you very much. We also have on Zoom the acting CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority and Professor of Political Science, Professor Ransford Jampo. Prof, it's good to hear from you again. Good morning.
Okay. Keminni, by usual, there's a ritual. Let me greet there's a ritual.
I wanted to, I know your ritual. At this point, I'm very used to your ritual.
Okay.
I wanted to bring in our remote guests. Okay. Then we look at your ritual. But since our remote guests are not ready, you go on then, and then do your ritual. Yes, then we can set the conversation on the road.
Yes, it's tantamount to libation. Okay, yeah, so I want to greet ex-Chief Justice Sophia Kufu Yasantua, the woman who stood tall and spoke against the bad governance of her own relation, Nana Kufuor, right? She didn't say because she was made Chief Justice, she wouldn't speak. And so by extension, she had benefited from Kufuor's discretion. But she came out when times were not going well, when the Kufuor wasn't governing well. So that's a sort of inspiration for all of us. Then Osi Adeyo Ajimanbedu II, Domahini, he also did the same. People said, oh, because he's a judge, he shouldn't speak. I mean, come on. When governance is, taken to the lowest level, when we are being hit left, right, center by bad governance, what do? People must speak up. Of course, we must add Togbe Afede. Yeah, Togbe also spoke up. He did that well. You remember Togbe even returned the allowances that the Council of State gave him because he thought that, no, once people were suffering, he didn't think that they should continue to take so much allowances at the Council of State. And then finally, Gamanche Kinteki Teku Churu II, the man leading the charges for justice in the Cicely Adapa case. Gamanche says he's not resting until Cicely Adapa is brought to justice, and soon that will be done. Yes, I see Attorney General and Yoko working on it. We are also in court, so we'll see how it pans out. I see. Yes.
Any more rituals I have to observe?
No, of course, the 52.5 billion. Yeah, Johnson, Auditor General. You know, he promised to bring out a report on the 52.5 billion that was missing. Later, informally, we are hearing that they say it's not missing. They should bring the report. When they bring the report, there are many auditors and accountants who can look through. Why is he scared of bringing the report? Since 2020, one report, 52.5 billion. How much did we go to the IMF for? How much did we go to the IMF for? 3 billion. That 52.5 billion is small. It vanished from GCB account. Right. GCB collected the money. Then this money vanished. Auditor General brought a letter. Oh, I'll bring a report. 4 years on. You see?
I see.
I mean, we'll see.
Let me get back to our remote guest now. Professor Ransford Jampo is CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority. He's also a professor of political science. Prof, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Keminni, how are you?
I'm well. It's a shame that you are remote today, but we'll take it like that.
Very soon we'll come.
I see.
But you know, as Martin has done, I will do the same thing. I also have some
even while you are remote.
Oh, yeah. I mean, otherwise the show will not be the show. You know, we are the owners of the show, and we have rituals that we must always perform to ensure that the show is really what it is supposed to be. So I want to say that, look, last year we were told that, first of all, let me say greetings to my friends who have gone to Saudi Arabia, who have gone to Mecca for the Hajj, Alligator, and my own head of department, Professor Saidu Alidu, just shout out to them. And I wish them well as they go there to perform the Hajj and pray for us. But I'm saying that, you know, last year we were told that if the NDC were in power, the cedi would have been around 25 cedis to the dollar. because they wouldn't have been able to handle the impact of COVID and the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, the NDC is in power, and the impact of the COVID as well as the Russian-Ukraine war remain, and yet the cedi is on its way to $9. Now, because the father of failure is only one, but the father of success, the fathers of success are many, suddenly the MPP is saying that they are the reasons why the economy is becoming a successful story today, even though some of them are still spitting around this success by insisting that even the strengthening of our currency is no achievement. Now, these are the guys who were irresponsible in handling our energy sector to the extent that they almost plunged Ghana into total darkness. There was Dumso, but the then Minister of Energy arrogantly insulted the sensibilities and intelligence of Ghanaians by asking them to go publish their own timetable to guide whatever load shedding that they were experiencing.
I see, Prof.
But in his first day of office, President Mahama said he would not blame anyone, and he assured Ghanaians that he would keep Ghana switched on. He quickly put together a committee headed by the chief of staff and tasked them to do everything they can to ensure that Ghana is switched on. That is what they did. Now, the interventions that are being put in place to ensure that Ghana is switched on are still ongoing. Yet those who refuse to fix the problem are saying they have nothing to do with the problem and are criticizing those who are doing something about the problem.
Very well.
Just yesterday, they said Galamsey had nothing to do with the impact of that has no impact on our environment. Yet just yesterday, they said Galamsey had no impact on our health, and they insisted that they won't fix the problem for the fear of losing election. Now, a new government is putting in place some interventions.
Prof, these
interventions may not be enough.
Your ritual is very long.
Interventions to deal with the menace of Galamsey. And those who yesterday said Galamsey should not be dealt with are now criticizing those who are putting in place measures to deal with Galamsey. And so my point is, Keminni, these are the sources of childish propaganda that underscores the point I've always made, that the current crop of MPP leadership, apart from being incompetent, are also not even receptive to learning. Such leaders, in my candid view, are unfit to be allowed to govern even a village if they don't repent and if they don't come up with new crop of leaders. But I must admit that there are two sides to every coin. There are advantages of the incompetence of the MPP. One key advantage that I must note is that because of their incompetence, the current government has been forced to do what is right to show that, yes, we can do it when it comes to managing our economy. I personally went to Atu Forsen and asked, Atu, how are you doing what you are doing? And he said, Prof, I am not stealing, and Prof, I am not greedy. And so my wish, my prayer is that may the forcing spirits and the forcing style of Atu Forsen serve as a standard beyond which other successor governments of this country will strive to perform in managing Ghana's economy. And finally, may there no rascality, may there no boisterousness, and may the suitable presidential temperament of John Mahama serve as a guide to governance by successor governments in future. Thank you very much.
This is your opening ritual. It was very, very long, and you've taken us into very different dimensions for this morning. But thank you for joining us.
This is what we do to keep the program running. And like I said, this is our program, so you have to bear with us.
And so I have to bear with you.
Yes.
I hear you. I hear you. We also have on the telephone former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansah-Sareh. Kweku, good morning.
Good morning, my sister.
It is good to hear you, and we are hearing you better than the last few nights I've spoken with you. It means you are very well.
I am, my sister. Special greetings to my countryman, Transport, Tempo, and my grand kinsman, Martin Bebu. And very, very special good morning to the rest of you.
Very well. I'll come in studio now, and we've been joined by Dr. Joshua Zato. He's a policy analyst and senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Political Science Department. Doc, good morning to you as well. Suddenly, you have also told me you have a morning ritual on the show.
Yes.
So you also want to do your opening ritual.
If you don't
Please
mind.
do your opening ritual.
Okay.
I am a very fair host.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Prof. Jampo. Nice to see you. It's a long time. We've missed you on those corridors or campus. Come visit once in a while. We don't see you. And I must say that I'm really impressed.
Dr. Zato, check the allocation of teaching responsibilities. I'm the only CEO who goes on commencement, secondment, and decides to teach for free. So this semester, I'm teaching.
No, that's what I'm saying. I want to see more of you. Ali too is coming back to teach some more. So thank you, guys. Thank you for coming back. We need you. We need you. Don't leave the place empty like that. Okay, so I'm going to say that, and I'm really glad you are one of the most vociferous supporters of His Excellency the President. You do an excellent job in protecting your boss. I'm really glad you do that. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm really happy. Earlier this week, I lost a childhood friend in Tumu. Her name is Baraka Adama. Young woman, industrious, illustrious. Unfortunately, she was buried when her mother, a very old woman, vulnerable, is still sitting there. I just want to say to the Adama family of Tumu, to Kuji, to Olman, to Chisco and others, Wejan Yagamaboye, to Baraka, I say, Wejan Pantapanzama, Wejan Fel Hintempang, and Moma, Nchwala Zapala, Lakala de Molina. Thank you very much. I'm happy that today I'm here again, surrounded by very brilliant lawyers and people. Just to say that I'm not a lawyer, I've never been to law school. I will try to talk only the politics because that is what I know. I'll talk the politics, the policy, and the governance. That is what I know. So don't ask me legal questions because that's not my discipline. So thank you very much, all of you, and I look forward to a very good discussion.
Good, thank you.
I see. That was rather short. I was expecting a very long one. Because the Dr. Zato I know would have gone on a bit longer. But I'm happy you did it so that we can get into our conversation.
Thank you.
I hope there are no more opening rituals. Alexander and Hesse.
Just to say, I lost a friend of mine, a childhood friend, Mr. Mengo. There was two family. From Akwaje. I encourage the family to be strong. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
Very well. Let's get right into the conversation now. The first one being the impeachment processes against the Chief Justice. The week began with that supplementary affidavit in support of her motion for interlocutory injunction. And in that 16-point or 15-point application she had made to the Supreme Court, she made some rather interesting, she raised some rather interesting concerns against the process against her. And so let's start off with Alex. Alex, since you are closer to me and you are the only one who hasn't had an opening ritual, your opening remark will be the first thing we talk about today. How did the week go for you as far as the impeachment process is concerned?
Anyway, good morning to the viewers and my very good seniors on my left and friends, and also to Prof and our learned former director of Ghana Law School. Yes. Chief Justice and her removal processes and the way she's taken it. It's interesting the way things has unfolded from the very day the petition was submitted to the presidency and things that has come up. Sometimes I turn back to ask myself whether there is a new law being written in Ghana or there's a new constitution that we have that maybe some of us are not aware. So we may need to go and read again or go back to the law schools and get ourselves acquainted to them or something. Because it's very interesting that things that has been with us years back, today, or this is the time that some people who have gotten to know it all this while now have issues with it. Interestingly, when you were playing the video of the former Attorney General, he was arguing that, the process violates the rights of the Chief Justice. Which of the rights are being violated? Unfortunately, he didn't outline it or outline them. Mm-hmm. I wish he had mentioned them. But I also believe that he has not forgotten that there is no right in this world that is absolute. So even if you have a kind of right, at some point in time, that right can be,
curtailed?
Of course. Wontumi is in cells now, or whatever. He has the right to be walking about freely, but he has been detained. So no right is absolute. And in this case, I am yet to see the very right that has been, tampered with. Unfortunately, they keep running around the thing, Sometimes it's like they are becoming more emotional than being legal. But as lawyers, we don't have any business to do with, anything emotions. We deal with the law. Mm-hmm. And as Madam rightly said some time ago, the law is always the law. No matter what noise or argument that you make out there, the law will never change, and it will still remain the law. You see, some of the things that they keep on raising. For instance, in the supplementary affidavit that you were mentioning, you were saying that her husband and her children and her children or daughter or whatever they were prevented from entering the room. Which part of the Constitution or which law permits them to be part of the proceedings in the room? Mm. She being a lawyer and a judge with that kind of experience, I was expecting that, you see, like I made mention earlier, don't speak with emotions, speak with law. Because you are a lawyer. So for that reason, anytime you are speaking, speak on matters of law. Which part of the Constitution, which law stipulates that such processes, your husband can sit next to you or can sit behind you? Your children can be in the room and witness everything that is transpiring there. The only portion that I think I find I may share her position is the part that she said I think a male person or a security person was asked to scan her or search her. In that one, I will urge the security team there that they should have a woman among them, so that whenever any woman comes there and is supposed to enter the very room, allow a woman to search a woman. And not a man searching a woman, rather. For that, I agree. But aside that, every other thing that she has mentioned, I disagree with her. Mm. I disagree with her. Again, if you look at the fact that they are saying that they will wish that the thing become very, open and not in camera. Yeah. Again, very interesting. When you hear lawyers speaking in this manner, I asked myself, that's why I made mention earlier on that I don't know whether there's a new constitution that has been written that some of us are not aware. Or there's some new laws that we are having that maybe we don't know of, so we need to go and read. There's nothing wrong in going back to learn. But if not that, or if there's no new law, then I'm wondering where they are bringing this argument from. Your first case was the fact that even the president should have given the application. I think that was the case of this guy, Asifwa. Yes. That the president should have even given a copy of whatever of the petition to you. Which part? He is a lawyer. Which part of the Constitution says that the president should give you a copy? And if he doesn't give you, he has violated any act or any law. Which part of it say that? We need to be serious for once and stop this game. This emotional gameplay. It doesn't help anybody. Whether you like it or not, the rule is very simple. When a petition is being made or is being submitted against you, the president must follow some processes. And in this case, John Dramani Mahama has not sidestepped any of the process. In fact, he has even become more charitable than anybody can take. By even giving you 10 days to go through and then write a written response. For what? You don't even need it. Go and ask Charlotte to say whether she was given 10 days to write any response to anybody. So, and what makes you more special than Charlotte to say? Nothing. You're all, at the end of the day, you are all lawyers. At the end of the day, you are all as Article 71 office holders. And the same process that she went through is what you are going through. And at the end of the day, you want, and she's even citing that, where they are even holding the proceedings is a kind of a security area. So where do you want us to go and hold it?
Well, she set precedents that, it hasn't happened outside of the confines of the judicial offices.
How many chief justices have gotten this kind of petition in the past? She should mention it and give us examples. Maybe Chief Justice Martin Pebu. In this case, the committee sat in this very room, or Chief Justice so and so, in his case or in her case, the committee sat here. There is no precedent. There's no precedent. And the law does not tell us where to go and sit and listen to your case. So any place at all can be cited, even the court. The court can just go and sit under one tree, put the coat of arms there, get the witness box there, and once the judge is sitting there is a court. It's a court. So if all these things are permitted, and you have been given all the leeways, in any case, those two judges sitting on the committee, I don't know your colleagues. Yeah, they are your own colleagues. You are there with them just a few days ago. So one would have been reasonably thought that, oh, I mean, this would definitely share your sentiments or your position. So why are you still worried? Why do you want somebody to be taken off the committee? And you see, that takes me back to when she was dealing with the case of the speaker, and then speaker's lawyer, senior Tadosori, was before her, citing similar arguments, urging you that there is someone on the bench whom, by his actions and whatever, doesn't make him fit to be there. You didn't even allow this man to even land. You didn't even permit him to even complete his argument or whatever. You just gave him a pause, and that's it. Because to you at that point or at that moment, he doesn't even have to tell you why that judge that he was making reference to, he should tell you why he's even raising arguments of he having been a political party, a parliamentary candidate, among others. You didn't even accept it. Today, you see how the table has turned. And now the same person who was sitting at the bench the other time, now sitting in the gallery, finds everything problematic.
So part of this is of her own doing?
Oh, well, I don't, well, maybe yes, maybe no. But the point is that I'm just trying to establish the fact that sometimes when you get certain positions and you are acting in certain manner, you just have to be cautious or careful. Because you never anticipated that this day will be coming. And the same issue or a similar issue that somebody was raising yesterday, which you had every problem with, is happening to you today. A very simple question. Why do you want that person to be taken off the committee? What is your reason? Because the people who were mentioned, the two judges, I don't see any of them having an issue with you, to the best of my knowledge. The other three, who are non-lawyers, who are non-MPs, non-members of the Council of State, I don't know any of them who has issue with you. Maybe you may cite the former, what do you call him, Auditor General. But in his case, he doesn't even have an issue with you. He brought his case before the court, and the court spoke on it. That's it. It ends the matter.
I did it.
Oh, okay.
CDG. It's NGOs that came together. So
very good. Very good. So in the end, he was even just a beneficiary to whatever thing that you are going to do. If the court has said anything otherwise. But in this case, he suffered. And Wontumi, he has gone home even after the ruling. He didn't say or take any action even against the state. So why do you have issues with these 5 persons who are sitting on this committee? What do you think they should do for you or that they are not doing? Your lawyers are there. I remember, I think the last time I checked, Senior Ukuroti was even part of her lawyers. And he is one person that I respect so much. Because I know very well that for him leading such a team to appear before that committee, the way he will carry himself and the way he will conduct himself in there would not create any problem. Unlike other persons that I see perambulating around here.
Who is
well, they know themselves. I wouldn't want to mention names.
Okay. I mean, I was trying to get clarity on what you're saying, but since you won't mention names.
They know themselves.
I mean, these are just opening remarks on the matter on the block at this point. And so I'll move on to Dr. Zato now. Dr. Zato, we have gone through the pointers in her supplementary affidavit. Anything struck you in that affidavit just before we pick them one after the other?
Once again, thank you very much, and thank you to my co-panelists. The lawyers will talk about those things. So, again, as I've said, I don't know the law. I will talk the politics and the issue of it.
The politics of it.
The politics of it. So my focus is going to be on the politics of it. One of the most celebrated political philosophers that ever lived, about 500 years ago, published a book called The Prince. His name is Niccolo Machiavelli. The Prince has been used as one of the most powerful books to study the art of statecraft. Machiavelli, among other things, argued that leaders should always mask their true intentions. They should act against mercy, against faith, against humanity, against frankness, against religion, in order to preserve the state. This is not what is often mostly associated with Niccolo Machiavelli. What is mostly associated with him is the famous speech that the end justifies the means, and that the prince, here the leader, should do whatever it takes to achieve a higher, bigger moral ground. there were circumstances under which Niccolo Machiavelli says that we cannot get into that now. But that, for me, personifies the current fight that the Chief Justice is going through. You would like to make it believe that whatever is happening is just the president or the political system just following the law, following the constitution. That there's absolutely nothing to see here. It's all the same. In fact, if you look at it very well, it makes it like the whole process is robotic. The constitution says A, the whole thing is just moving like this. So let's just follow that. That there is absolutely no politics, no partisanship, no nothing here. That the president is just doing that. My argument is that if you look just below that, you will realize that that is completely not true. That this is politics of the highest order. That what is happening is that the so-called constitution or the legal processes are just being weaponized as a means, like Niccolo Machiavelli says, to achieve a bigger political objective. And that objective is that the Chief Justice must go. I'm going to put on record here, and I'm going to say it and say it again. The Chief Justice is a goner. She's gone. She's not going back to that office. Maybe if she's forgotten some books there, she's forgotten her purse or some shoes, she'll go back and pick them. But she is gone. No, there's absolutely no circumstance or condition in this world that will let her be reinstated. I have said it's gone. I hope it's not against the law, and I hope they don't arrest me. But I'm saying that she's gone. Nothing is going to do, because you have to see it. So my question is, what are the political leaves that I have seen, that I have observed in this process that are worth mentioning? One, the similar petition was sent against the same woman, but when President Akufo-Addo was in power.
It was about living.
When Akufo-Addo was in power, it went, Akufo-Addo received it, and then Akufo-Addo sent it to the Council of State. We are told the deliberations of the Council of State are in camera, that nobody can see or should see what the Council of State is doing. They only deliberate and they come out with their decision. That is the law. But I don't know what the law says about the decision of the Council of State, about how they go to either a yes or no. So the Council of State behaves like a conclave. We just had a conclave that elected a pope. Yeah. It came. Akufo-Addo exercised discretion, political discretion, and released the legal report of the Council of State. That was politics. He said, look, I want you to see how the Council of State got to know. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying believe it, but I'm just saying you've got to read it. Now, as we are speaking, the lawyers may say, that decision is now part of the Ghanaian legal jurisprudence, right? Students of law can read it. Judges, people can read it. Listen, my point is that but currently, His Excellency the President has decided that decision of how the Council of State got to know, he's not going to release it. Those decisions are political, not legal. That is partisanship. One president says, I believe in transparency and accountability. The other one says, I don't. That's illegal. Two, there's also the decision of how fast to submit. We are told presidents are just conveyor belts. That when this decision comes, they have no choice but to submit it. I agree with that. But we are not told about how fast or how quick and the alacrity with which the president should submit the report. If the president receives a report in the morning, is he supposed to transmit in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? Can the president keep it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Can the president keep it for 5 weeks, 10 weeks? How long can the president keep it? Again, the decision on how fast and how quick to submit it to the Council of State is political, it's partisan, it's not legal. So if you do that, you are making a political and a partisan decision. So the Akufo-Addo quickly sent it to the Council of State. He was being partisan and political. His Excellency the President quickly sent it to the Council of State. He too was being partisan and political. 3, the Ghana Bar Association has come out to tell us that this process is not fair and it's not just. It's on record. They've said it. I'm not a lawyer. I don't belong to them. But that's what they've said. They said the process is not fair and it's not just. Earlier this week, the majority leader in Parliament has come out to say that there are serious issues with the law or with the process, and that he wants to amend them. So, Ghana Bar Association says the process is unfair, is crooked, is unjust. The majority leader or Parliament is agreeing with the Ghana Bar Association. But the majority leader is saying that it doesn't matter that this process that we think is unfair, is unjust. It doesn't matter. The current Chief Justice must drink this medicine. Whether the medicine will save her or not, she must drink it. We know the medicine is no good. We know the medicine will kill her, but she must be killed, she must go. But after she has gone, we will come out with a Chief Justice with whom we love, a Chief Justice of our own. When that happens, we will change the law. We will now bring better medicine, we will now bring good medicine to make sure that the Chief Justice we bring cannot be removed. She will do well. What kind of animal farm justice or process is that? If you agree, and by that admission that the process is not fair, why not do it now? Why not call for public confidence? Look, we have also sat back, and the majority leader is a lawyer. I have read the thing, and I think that's not fair. Don't let us use this unfair process on this woman. Let us amend it and use it. Why are you saying that?
Don't you think that the hands of the president are tied at this point in varying the process?
My process is that I'm not saying very fair. I'm just saying that if the process is going on and if the woman is crying that it's unfair, and now the majority leaders also agree that it's unfair, why are you using an unfair process on a woman? That's what I'm saying.
No, but every party in the case, and again, I want to understand what you are driving at, right?
What I'm driving at is that. Let me tell you what I'm driving at.
Hang on. I'll give you the time to talk. Hang on. So every party in the case already knew that this process existed, including the CJ herself, right? And so if the onus is on the president that he should have varied the process to make it fair before applying it to the CJ, it sounds a bit unfair, isn't it?
What is unfair? The Chief Justice doesn't make laws. She's the judiciary. The parliament makes laws. I'm saying that my argument is that the fact that we know that this process is jointest, the fact that we know that this process is unfair, but then we're going to use it on somebody, is totally unfair. It's not fair. It shouldn't happen. And I'm saying that is political. It is not legal. It's not judicial. Thirdly, my former UTAC president is here, for example.
Yeah.
He was a good union leader. This is what I know. If something like this was happening to a lecturer at the university, UTAC will not be quiet. By now, UTAC would have either issued a statement, held a press conference, and even dangled the possibility of a strike action to protect their member. I know they would have done that. And Prof said he would say that. All this is happening. But there's a union of magistrates and lawyers that are supposed to be there. This one is supposed to be there. The union is quiet like a grave. The union have just given up on this woman. I don't know whether they act as an actual union, but I've never seen any union anywhere in the world be so cold-hearted, so disinterested when one of their members is going through this. I've never seen it. Unions are biased. That is what it means. The fact that you're just a union, you are biased. And unions pursue their rational self-interest. That self-interest is their own. In fact, sometimes the rational self-interest of unions are against those of the organization, of the institutions they represent. Because they are not there for the institutions, they are there for themselves. That this is happening to a woman, that this is happening to one of their own, and they are quiet, they are silent. Please, I will refer them to read the very famous lawyer when they came for me. That popular poem. First they came for the communists, were quiet. Mona. He said first they came for the communists, were quiet. They came for the labor unions, were quiet. They came for the Jews and were quiet. Until finally they came for me, there was nobody to cry for me. If they are coming for the head of the judiciary, and the union or the association that's supposed to defend and protect the judiciary is quiet, are they complicit? I don't have any evidence to say they are complicit. But it looks like, looking from outside, because none of the members, look, I'm saying it, Prof will back me up, that she knows, don't touch a member of UTAC the next day. Look, the Auditor General attacked the University of Ghana. It wasn't UTAC who attacked the auditing process of the University of Ghana. University of Ghana that same evening issued a very powerful statement condemning it, but we were not happy. Because that is where we work in Legon, we eat in Legon, we live in Legon, we sleep in Legon. If you touch Legon, you touch us. The next day, UTAC sent an email to UTAC Legon. They held the press conference, they issued a statement to defend the university because that's our employer. That this union is this quiet means that probably they are complicit. It's not fair. They should come out and say something. Finally, what I'm going to say is that I'm glad and I'm happy that the Chief Justice is not a sitting duck. I'm happy and glad that she is not quitting. She's not cutting and running. Her fight is a virtuous fight.
Very well.
Her fight is a righteous fight. And I want to say her fight is on to the very end. At the end of the day, she's fighting with honor, she's fighting with integrity. She will go, I know. But these rulings by the Supreme Court and the court will stay. They will add to the general jurisprudence of these legal cases. She would go, but history would say that there was once a Chief Justice who did not fight when the whole might of the state was brought against her. That who did not quit when everything seemed bleak to her. Who did not quit when her own union betrayed and abandoned her. That she stood, she fought to the very last end until she won. Her children will be proud of her. Women in Ghana will be proud of her. People in Ghana, when we read this story, which will be a landmark case in President Dramani Mahama's history, whenever we are writing the history of President Dramani Mahama, this case is not going to be an anecdote. is going to be a chapter, if not a book on it. It will also be said in that book that the woman did not run away with a tail around her legs, that she stood boldly, proudly, and fought for what she believed, and fought for her ideals, and that she fought to the very end. Thank you.
Very well. Doc, thank you so much for your opening remarks. Now, at the risk of being told that I am not a lawyer, I'll keep the lawyers for the, for a little bit, and then go on to
But he
Zoom
went
now.
into some jurisprudence, and I felt happy.
No, I'll have you react to those things. I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you, Hesi. I agree with you, Hesi. But no. Let me go to Zoom now. Let me get some points from Professor Ransford Jampo first. Prof, I saw you raise your hands.
Yes. I'm a bit worried about my colleagues' assertion about the fact that the processes towards the removal of the processes that are being resorted to are unfair. And I'm asking, what is the basis of the claim that the processes are unfair? Just because the woman herself says so, just because Afenyomakin says so, just because some 46 or over 40 lawyers went to meet somewhere, out of the over 6,000 lawyers, they went to meet somewhere and then they spoke against the process. Are their utterances biblical injunctions? Why must we believe Afenyomakin if he says the process is not fair? Why should we just say that the processes are not fair because Arabato Konu says so? I think the claims by these three people, the claim that the processes are not being fair, are not fair by one or two people, aren't enough for us to come to a conclusion that the processes are unfair. In any case, are we able to point specifically to something that has been done that we can describe as unfair? We are not able to do so. Are we now just going to allow our judgment to be dictated by people who have obviously decided to politicize, this particular matter, a matter that I believe should be looked into dispassionately? I think that we should be careful in jumping to conclusions based on people who are whimsical and capricious in doing some of these, analysis. Look, Alba Tokonu, in my view, is showing a lot of double standardness. She's also trying to overly politicize a matter that, in my view, should be looked at dispassionately, and the choice of who has become her lawyer, clearly shows. And look, I believe that so long as she is within her rights to do whatever she's doing, I think that there's no need for anybody to be emotional about it at all. Let her go on to assert her right. Let her go on to question the processes. But let it also be known to her that it does appear to me and suggest to me that the judicial and legal processes now appear to be very resilient and very resolved, that they will do what they have to do within the confines of the law, regardless of the near absurdity in the stretch of one's right just to frustrate what is going on. And so I believe that people have become emotional. People are trying to be partisan, in their discourse and in our analysis of this. But the point is it true that somebody sent a petition, against her? Is it true that a prima facie case has been made against her? If it is true, what are the processes that must be resorted to in going into the matter? Are these processes have they been resorted to? Somebody has now sent me a video and a picture or pictures of where she was hosted and then where the hearings have been going on. And they have debunked the assertion. I can forward it to you, Keminni, that it is ever true that she was searched by a female. Somebody who was there has said that's not true. And so it is important that in going into this matter, look, I believe that if she is not right, the law must take its course. If she is right, let the law and the processes exonerate her. But the kinds of things we are doing in trying to see everything from political lenses and angle, in my view, does a lot of disservice to our quest to ensure the independence of our judiciary. Arabato Kuno is not above the laws of Ghana. And yesterday, if you could not say anything when the same thing was done to another person, then you better respectfully shut up. Because then we are trying to show a lot of double standardness and hypocrisy. I don't believe in copying bogus and wrong practices. If it was done to somebody and it was bad, I don't believe that it must be done to somebody today. And we can have a national conversation and build a little consensus about some of these things. But it annoys and it is nauseating that the very people who championed some of these things in the past are now also crying foul and pretending that what is going on, they've not seen some before. It's annoying. And I'm saying it doesn't lie in their mouth to come and cry about what is going on. They should be quiet and allow discerning people who would be able to speak about these things, and then let us all say that, look, enough is enough about some of these things. But to create an impression as if suddenly you are saints and others are unsaints, suddenly you are doing what is happening is unfair, it's never happened before, and you have not done some before, annoys, and it creates an impression that we are not serious. And look, our objective description, you see, we are a pale shadow of ourselves. We are a pale shadow of our education. If our description of the truth is contingent on which side of the political divide we belong to. Here, because of partisan politics, now you cannot even see scholars. When it is true, they don't know how to say it because they want to also do partisan politics. Irons, for example, I don't believe in those things. If it is right, it is right, regardless of which whoever I'm talking to. If it is wrong, it is wrong. And so what I'm saying is that those who are now suddenly trying to be raising issues and concerns, and my colleague Dr. Zato simply wants to say that the process is unfair because Afenyo Marken and Tokonu have said so.
I mean,
go and read
the
what
majority
the Ghana
leader
Bar
also.
Association itself. Please let me land on this. Go and read what the Ghana Bar Association itself initially said about the process. The bigger association, go and read what they said. And compare it to suddenly some 40 people went to meet somewhere, also said they are Ghana Bar Association, and then they decided to be saying, something that are contrary to, what the bigger association has said. You cannot use the 46 or whatever people, what they said, as a representative of the position of the Ghana Bar Association. In any case, do we truly have a Ghana Bar Association in Ghana? In any case, do we truly have a Ghana Bar Association? Don't we have? In Ghana? Is the Ghana Bar Association, please, is the Ghana Bar Association that credible? An association that keeps quiet when one regime is in power and begins to find its voice when another regime gets to power. Are they credible? Where were they? Where were they when some of these things were going on in the previous administration? So an association whose credibility, in my view, is in tatters like that. It is unfortunate, it is not good for anybody to use 46 out of them, their view, to make a general statement about their position, about what is going on. It is not good. It is not scholarly. It is not academic for anybody to want to do that. And I'm referring my colleague to go and look at the earlier position of the Ghana Bar Association when they met and juxtapose it to the views of the 46. How many members do we have constituting the Ghana Bar Association?
No, hang on. You respond, please. You respond. Prof, no, hang on, Dr. Zato, please. Hesi and Dr. Zato, kindly let me control this, as we have it at the moment. Prof, thank you so much for your comments. But I was just adding that it's not just the minority leader who's talked about the, how problematic the Article 146 is at the moment. The majority leader himself also on the floor of Parliament made the points, and that's what Dr. Zatu was referring to. But Hesi, you've been very...
Please. It's possible now. Ransford mentioned my name, please.
It's important
that I report directly. No, it's important that I respond directly.
You will forget.
I will forget. He mentioned my name when I was talking. He mentioned my name directly. It's only fair that I respond. To try to impute my academic integrity is not fair. It's not here. Ransford, we all read who decides. Governors, who governs. It doesn't matter. The Ghana Bar Association, first, I never mentioned Afenyo Maker's name here. I didn't mention anybody. I mentioned two institutions. Ghana bar situation. The decision, the Ghana bar situation. When I talk, people think that I'm emotional. I'm not. That's the way I talk. People, my students know. So I'm just saying that I'm not emotional. That's the way I talk. But actually, the Ghana bar situation had quorum. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not there. You even if it was one person, and if that one person made the quorum, made the decision is binding. We've seen it happen in Parliament. Minority boycotts Parliament. Majority confirms the president. Are we going to say that the minister confirmed it's only an NDC MP or an MPP MP? So that decision is what? It doesn't measure up. It doesn't matter who was there. It was an institutional decision taken by the bar. The bar says it's not fair. I didn't mention Afenyo Martins. You did. I didn't mention. Two, Parliament said it. Again, I mentioned Parliament. It was the majority leader who says there are issues with the law as it stands. That the law as it stands is not fair. It is not me. So I am referencing institutions that and the decisions of these institutions are public. So if I am referencing institutions and those institutions have not come in, how is that non-academic? Is that not the same thing you do? Because then you are rather going, you've not mentioned any institution that is said, I have mentioned institutions. Tell me which institutions have come. That is academic. That is intellectual. You have not gotten it. And even if you go to policy making, and the theory of collective decision making, it doesn't matter who governs, no one person governs. Governance is collective decision in a democracy. So if these institutions have an issue that there is a process with this, that this process is sick, that this process is unfair, that is what I'm stating. I'm not the one stating it. These institutions have said that's not fair. Majority leader says it's not. Ghana Bar Association says it's not. And I have a right to reference them. That is what I did. I didn't say I am the one saying it's not fair. They are those saying. If you have a problem, you have a problem with the Ghana Bar Association, take it with them. If you have a problem, you have a problem with the majority leader. Not with me. I didn't say that. And what I have done is it's academics, it's intellectual, because that is how we teach.
So, I mean, let's agree that going forward, I will invite you into the conversation before we talk, so that, you know, we can manage the time properly for everybody. And again, just to recall what the majority leader had said on the floor of Parliament, he said President John Mahama is determined to fast-track legislative reforms to strengthen our institutions of governance and further entrench our democracy. The president is committed to legislative clarity with transparency when it comes to the constitutional mechanics of removal of justices of the Supreme Court. In fact, he has said that the Attorney General will introduce several subsidiary legislation, including corporate insolvency and restructuring regulation, Court of Appeals. He goes on and on, on and on, on and on. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that I'm not sure he used the word fair itself, although he had indicated that it was a problematic process. So let's put that on record. Subsequent to that, he had also come out to say that the Chief Justice should just accept the process against her. It was part of the package that she received when she got into the job. But Hesi, you were talking about issues of jurisprudence.
Yes, I mean, just getting up from where you ended, it shows that inherently there is a legal problem. Now, let's take it as this. We have a legal system, and in the legal system, you have somebody like Professor H.L.A. Hart, who came out in 1958 with positivism. He published it in the Oxford Journal, and then he stood for the positivist school of thought. And then we also had Lon Fuller, who also stood on the other side and published in response to what the positivist stalwart published, titled Positivism and the Fidelity of the Law. Now, Professor Hart came back in 1961 to publish what is popularly known, and that is also celebrated, one of the best books in jurisprudence, called The Concept of Law, which constructed what a legal system is. Now, that is where I'll talk. That is what I'll talk about and trace you to the problem that we are facing now. Now, in response to that, Fuller also came back to publish what he called the morality of the law. Now, the positivists believe that, or their view of the tradition of law is that the law is what is now, and that is not what it ought to be. Now, what it ought to be, they believe that is an issue of morality. And what the law ought to be, or what the law is one of description. And it's a social phenomenon that is constituted by facts, social facts. Now, in these social facts, you have actors such as the Legislative Council that interact amongst themselves and come up with the rules that should govern the people. So the processes that the rules go through in coming out as a refined rule or order to govern the masses is what we determine or constitute as the social elements that is refined to be the law of the state. Now, in looking at what Fuller indicated, Fuller's position is that we should not moralize the law necessarily, because that becomes a loose statement. But the law in itself is derivative from divine, and it also should be what is just. So it means that the administration of law looks at the importance of what is good for everybody. And in that, it also references to what St. Augustine of Hippo, sometime AD 350, where he said in City of God that an unjust law is no law at all. Now, so this towards established the tradition of law in jurisprudence. Now, moving forward, Professor Hart in his book, The Concept of Law, indicated that in a scenario where you have a valley, and in that valley you have a stream that cuts across. So the stream cuts across, and you have two pastures, so one on the other side. And in that, we have what we call the primary law. Now, this society living in that particular valley, because they have a primary law, they are unable to take decisions expeditiously in terms of rule governing decisions. And in that, because if the cattle graze on both sides, they will lose the fauna and everything, society would go hungry. So there has to be a rotational situation. In that rotational situation, if one person goes against it, what happens? It will mean that it will affect society. But because that system is inherently slow to change the rule, or is even difficult to adjudicate, he came out with what we call the defects in that particular rule. So we had the defect of uncertainty, we had the defect of efficiency, and then we have the starkness of the law. Now, the uncertainty meant that the rules becomes, it's not posturing enough. It is not prospective. It has not been established. And that creates a particular situation. I reference that to Article 146. I'll come back again. Now, it also dealt with, in dealing with that, he came out that to cure it, there must be a secondary rule. And in that secondary rule, that is where he brought out what we call the rule of recognition. Now, the rule of recognition deals with rules recognizing other rules in order to make the system of law consistent. Now, again, to referencing to Article 146, you realize that the majority leader came out to say that we need regulation in order to sanitize that particular system. There ought to be a rule, which is the regulation, in order to be consistent with other body rules, in order to create and complement the legal system, so for it to be upright. Now, in dealing with the rule of adjudication, which also takes us to the Supreme Court, Professor Hart indicated that with the rule of adjudication, we have two main parts. Now, we have what we call formalism, which deals with the body rules that a judge sitting in his chamber or a collective of judges, in coming out with their decisions, they fall on the rule of laws that's in the books and all that, or in what we call case law, in order to decide. So they don't go out of their way. The only time that they will have to exercise a discretion in accordance with law is what we call the extreme realism. And then in exercising the extreme realism, then we have the middle part, which deals with the penumbra of the law. Penumbra means that it is the Latin word, which means shadow of the law. Now, the legal system indicates that it is the hard position for a judge where the judge has that difficulty of exercising discretion. And that discretion is internal to the law. And it deals with interpreting the law in order to create the certainty of the law. So when the Chief Justice or any other person goes to the Supreme Court, the judges over there exercise the penumbra of the law in order to come out with what the law ought to be. Now, what the law ought to be is what Fuller says, that it is the naturalist theory of the law. But again, the positivists agree with Fuller and say that it is not what ought to, but what they are exercising is internal. So the convergence zone for both positivist and natural law theories is called the minimum theory of the law. The importance of this is that Article 146 has created a lot of uncertainty in the legal architecture as far as that particular issue is concerned. Because a regulation creates certainty, and once there is an uncertainty in that particular area of law, it becomes a difficulty because, number one, inherent in the law, just as I have said, internal to it, or if you are dealing with the natural law theories, Fuller indicates that there are 8 elements which are not going to that. But he says that the law must be existent and must not be ad hoc. What are we seeing? We are realizing that even though from Charlotte Osei's time up until now, that area has been quite turbulent, the legal system has failed to rectify that. And once that situation is confronted with another, the natural law theorist, or even agreeing with the positivist, tells us that once it becomes ad hoc, then what is unjust is no law at all. But that is not the situation. If further says that the law must be prospective, so even when the majority leader with parliament passes it, it is not going to take a retrospective, but it is going to be progressive. Right. And again, it recognizes the fact that even though this is what the system is, it is not being fair. And that takes me to the Nuremberg trials. And that is where, at the Nuremberg trials, that is what brought out the purest of jurisprudence. And it was more appreciated. And the world, or legal jurisprudence, tilted more to the natural theories, because before or pre the Nuremberg trials, after 1945, the 1945 war, it was more positivism, but there was the conscious effort in order. So there was this example before I round up, just a little. A lady, so in dealing with a rule, a lady reported the husband who had insulted the Reich. So, you know, the Reich had a bundle of rules, and everything that they did followed through the law. And the position was that when the trials came up and she was being taken through the prosecution stage, the position was that what the law is what should be ascribed to at all times. But then the judges deferred to the naturalist position and said that it should not be the case, because conscience must be imbibed into it. Right. The administration of justice means that what is fair ought to come in. And so it shifted to the natural position. And by that, even though the rule, which is at the time of the Reich, was what is, the position was shifted. And that meant that that legal system was a bad legal system.
So I want to bring home what you're saying in respect to what the majority leader had said on the floor of Parliament. What you're telling us that it's not wrong for us to propose or even have legislation to manage Article 146.
Yes, it's not wrong. But as it is now, it is an admission that the system is inherently flawed.
It's inherently flawed.
Given the jurisprudential submission I've made. Yeah.
Okay. And then you're also saying that indeed, even if we were to rectify and ratify that flawed law, we cannot apply it to the case we have today.
No. If you recall, in the case of Frank Chum and the Attorney General, my submission is hinged on the lead judgment that Justice Dateban gave. And Dateban, in his judgment, inherently acknowledged what I'm saying, that Article 146 needs amendments, it needs a lot of body rules to complement it in order to make that area of law certain than uncertain as it is. Right. And when you have a rule of law that is uncertain, we say that that particular legal system is defective. And and that is what Professor Hart in that the jurisprudence analog I just run by you indicates.
I see. Right. It's your turn now.
Okay. First, I should give my general overview. Right?
Right.
General. Okay. So, you know, this matter of 146, right, and everything it has brought so far, where I would want to start from is that, you know, curious enough, when the Chief Justice was being vetted, all right, that was in 2023. Yeah. When she was asked about what changes she wants made to the Constitution, what should be reviewed in the Constitution, is this say 146 she mentioned? She mentioned that the president should not have a role to play in the removal process, everything, all right? That's 146. And I've always wondered why, when she came in, she was quiet. At least she didn't even organize a lecture on it. She didn't gather us that let's brainstorm, nothing. Was it that the power was now sweet, so she had forgotten? I mean, it's strange, because every day I look at it, I was like, because that day she made that statement, I was very happy that, yes, here was a woman at a vetting who thought that, yes, though you've appointed me, if something is wrong in the Constitution, and that touches even the president himself, she would say it. But she entered office, and it became a closed book. Nobody heard anything. And today, here we are. Next point is that, you see, this statement by Ayarga that they are going to amend, etc., cannot be used as grounds to stop the current removal process. No, we don't do that in law. We don't do that. Otherwise, then the logic of it will suggest that for all the laws that Parliament is about to pass, if there is any action being taken using an old law, everything should stop. Yes, that's the logic, because each time we are making a new law, then it's an admission that the old law has issues, so we want to improve. And so if we went by this suggestion that because we are about to amend, we are about to bring regulations to help 146, we should stop the current proceedings, there will be chaos. It's an invitation to chaos beyond, I mean, my wildest imagination. Yeah, because it will extend. So those who have said so, please, let's reduce the politics. Let's reduce the politics. Even Justice Tokonu, who has been affected, she said that was what she felt when they asked her. Yet, for how many? Close to 2 years, she did nothing. So please, let's go slowly. Let's go slowly, right, on that particular one. Because sometimes, you see, when you hide behind politics and make all manner of arguments, sometimes the arguments are so preposterous that the rest of us feel insulted. Just because you want to advance your political ends, then you go and take a very small legal point and begin to blow it out. Yes, we feel insulted. So sometimes it's not every argument you make. No, it's not every argument. Sometimes you look at it. Yes, it's an admission. But do you realize that, and lawyer Hesse made that point, the Ejechun case is almost 20 years old now. Yeah. That was President Kufuor's tenure. And in there, the Supreme Court said, let's amend the law. So for 20 years, we never amended. And now we are about to amend. Then you say, oh, then stop the current proceedings. Okay. 20 years. So from Kufuor to Atta Mills to JM number 1, then to Akufo-Addo, and then back to JM number 2. You see the point? So please, let's be careful on the argument about stop the process now and then let's, what do you call it? The law be amended. In any event, do you realize that this law, from what Mama Ayarga, what he said, I think that you can't pass that law in less than 3 months. No, because we as citizens, we've not even had the opportunity to weigh in. We've not seen the draft, so we've not had an opportunity to make our input. And our input will be very useful. Because look, there is one point. Well, I know it cannot change the Constitution, but maybe it's worth us mentioning so that we see. Look, when you look at 146, for instance, you see that one of the grounds for removal is incompetence. When you compare with the U.S. jurisprudence, they will tell you what they do in the U.S. They will tell you that the fact that a judge is not good, especially when it comes to rulings, when a case is put before a judge, the fact that he or she would get it often wrong, very, very wrong, violently wrong, etc., doesn't mean you can use that to remove that judge. But here in our constitution, we have incompetence. So the regulations that are going to be coming, I will be looking for it to see how are we expanding on incompetence. If you're saying that you can remove a judge because she got a ruling wrong, is that going to be grounds? Is that going to cause a lot of confusion in our system? There are a lot of other things we can't expand on in this program. So what I'm saying in a word is that I don't see how we can pass that law in less than 3 months. So if you were to say, so for those saying that we should wait and pass a new law, please, it will lead to too much chaos, right? Let's take time on it. Now, next point, the matter of the proceedings, the Chief Justice asking that the relations, at least the husband, be allowed in. You know me, I like to, see improvement. This process can be very traumatizing. So I know my learned friend, Chumberima, has said he doesn't agree that the spouse be allowed in. Please, you see, let's think, let's look. How are we making progress? Yeah. Yes, the Constitution doesn't say who and who can attend, right? But I'm thinking that looking at the emotional, it's a lot. It's a lot. Going through impeachment, it's a lot.
Which means that an appeal could have been made to the committee instead of putting it in the supplementary affidavit.
Yes, I like that point. You see, yes, that probably would have found favor, and there could have been some negotiations. Yes, rather than the husband showing up there on the day, maybe if they had said something like they could have sent a letter ahead and then done some negotiations behind. But I think that her husband going in with her is a lot of support. Please, look, tomorrow Ghana is a continuum. I remember when MPP won 2017, because I was happy that GM had lost and the rest, I heard things like, hey, by the time NDC comes, it will be 40 years. It will be 40 years before NDC comes back. By Akufo-Addo's, by the end of the first term, it was clear that GM was coming. Akufo-Addo had been so incompetent that it was clear that this GM was coming back. So please, this same thing, the way we are talking today, I hear the same thing. Hey, this one, by the time MPP comes, it will be 40 years. Please, let's be careful. So I'm in favor of the system allowing Justice Tokonu's husband to go with her. Yes. Look, it doesn't matter. Yes, you can take me on. It's not everything we may find here, but the support helps. Let's not just do it like, this is the end of the world. No, we'll be here for,
lawyer, I was trying to think around why she put that in the supplementary affidavit, because you would realize that it is not the only point that she makes when she talks about commission of inquiries and the fact that there are rules governing that, and it should not be a question. Because when you look at chapter 23 of the Constitution, where 27A to 2A3 covering commission of inquiry, inherent in that is also Article 156, which is the Rules of Courts Committee. Now, so if we are equating a commission of inquiry to the High Court, if she was actually going to the High Court, she would have her family there without question. So could that be the reason why she put that in the affidavit?
Oh, as for that one, it will be difficult to tell why, but basically, the appeal or her request for her husband to go with her is something that's reasonable. I don't see anything that offensive about it. As I said, other lawyers will show. It's supposed to be secretive. Maybe if it is that the husband will be bound over to also, but even she as Chief Justice, when she goes in, they don't say that she should swear an oath not to talk about it, any secrecy about it. Nobody swears an oath to enter the committee. So the husband going with her may not require one. I'm just thinking ahead. What do we need? Yes, what do we need to make the husband eligible to attend? If she doesn't have to swear an oath of secrecy on the proceedings, I don't think the husband has to, right? So we can. So Keminni, I'm very happy that I show a lot of dexterity in interpreting the Constitution. So you see why we keep saying that matters of law, we can't restrict to only lawyers. See where Keminni is come from. You see, we can't restrict to lawyers. Let's let people who have
analysis that she was doing.
Yes. So we may not know the reason, but it's easier for me that we can look at it and grant her that emotional support. Indeed. It would help. Now, let's make this point. You know the supplementary affidavit, the Supreme Court struck it out because of the revelations of the secrets. So it's no longer part of the record.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's no longer part because of all the revelations she made. That so I don't even need to go to that. So please, for the record, that supplementary affidavit is no longer part of the record. It's been struck out. Okay, it's expunged. So officially,
I mean, but we are discussing.
Yes, we can discuss. But what I mean is that it's not.
Which is why we can touch also, each point.
And also, you see, for example, Professor came in to deny some of the allegations.
Yes.
You know, the Attorney General did not even get an opportunity to respond to it. So that's the Chief Justice rendition. That's her side. We didn't hear the Attorney General on it.
I mean, but to be fair, on the face of the document itself, I know I've received messages that it's not true that she was searched by a man. By a man. But on the face of the document itself, she only talked about body searches. She doesn't indicate the gender of the person who searched her. I don't know if that came up in court along the line, but that has been the narrative that we've heard since the...
So she's against being searched or what?
No, so she thinks that she shouldn't. Let me. In fact, why am I thinking for her when I can read? so let me read what she says on the bodily searches.
Okay.
On point 12, I believe, she says that other developments like the denial of access into the hearing room for my husband and children, searches on my body, denial of access to telephone and laptops for myself and my lawyer. She puts into brackets, even though counsel for petitioners have access to their phones and laptops, and the conduct of the hearing itself in a high security zone at the premises of the Castle Osu show a deliberate effort to subject me to mental torture and degrading treatment in violation of my fundamental human rights. So, Alex, it would appear that
the Osu Castle has been, I mean, the presidency has been moved from there years ago.
But it's still a security zone.
I know, but I mean,
is the historical depiction.
Oh,
is the historical depiction. The reason, you see, the historical reason why we had to go to India to get funds to put up Jubilee House is because of that history that we have. It has been a slave dungeon that had been used to trade human beings as goods of the transatlantic, in the transatlantic trade. So, I mean, having justice espoused at that particular place, it might not be found in the law book that, I mean, appearing before, you have to agree to venue A or venue B. But these are some of the things that El Fulham refers to. The administration of justice must inherently be fair. A just dispensation of law is a good law, you see. So it is not just what the law is, but there is a minimum theory of law or a minimum theory of law that positivists and natural lawyers or natural traditions of jurisprudence agree on. So that, yes, even though it is not indicated in Article 146 where the venue should be, but as a country, we would not want to have justice dispensed from there because of that historical connotation. So getting into the fort and seeing all of that, and justice is going to be dispensed in this.
Okay. So I'm on the ground.
Let me go on Zoom now.
I beg 1 second.
Oh, you didn't finish?
No, you didn't finish. We took the senior
1 second.
After the 1 second.
After the 1 second, we'll come to you. You finish for us.
Anywhere you are going to the court. Let me ask you a very simple question. Do you have body scanners at the entrance of the court? Or some courts in this country? If the answer is yes, what is wrong with somebody scanning you or searching you if something is on you? I'm a security person. I don't see anything wrong with this thing. Once you are scanned and there's something wrong with you, you are going inside with whatever thing that you have.
It's only the venue for me, but the searches.
I mean, there's something wrong. So if you have issue with searching, and now, so okay, even if they should move the proceedings from the castle and bring it to let's say the old state house, and still you're going to go through some security scans,
I mean, that's
you still have issues with it. I mean, come on. let's face the reality and stop this thing. It doesn't add anything to the case.
Let me have
all right. So let me also wade into a bit of the philosophy, but not long like Lawyer Man. Professor Zato said for him, he sees the prince at play.
Yes.
So characterizing the removal process as the prince, that people are doing all this, I mean, the NDC is doing it, right? I hope that's a fair representation.
That's what?
You said the prince, you quoted the prince.
Yeah.
So that's that's the prince. I also see rather the republic, Plato's republic, because he says that the leader, should seek justice. All right? So if the president has only played his role, right, in seeing that justice is brought, why would he say it's rather the prince? No, and Plato is more received.
If you have a choice, if you have a choice to choose the Plato, I also have a choice to choose the
so at least
if you are seeking refuge and the Plato, I'm also seeking refuge.
I guess so. Let me pick.
Last statement.
It would appear so.
And Plato's Republic, talking about the good leader and the good qualities of a leader, amongst them seeking justice, what is fair, kind, etc. It's a more favored book. It's a more received book. It's better received and serves as the foundation of Western philosophy, where we've copied all of the constitution, etc. from. So at least my argument has more support than the prince. The prince is for mean people.
I see, gentlemen, hang on. Let me bring in now Lawyer Kweku and Asare. Prof, I'll come to you. Don't worry. The basis of that supplementary affidavit, all she seems to point us is the process is not treating her fairly. And lawyer, I want us to pay attention to point 4, where she makes the original accusation pointing to unfair treatments. Point 6 and 7, where she says the committee is wrong for sitting on a day when she had previously given them the injunction application she filed, because she said, look, when we went to the hearing or the sitting of the committee, I had indicated through my lawyer that this was what was happening. There was an injunction against the process. They had asked for copies. She gave them the copies. Yet still, the day after, on a Friday, the committee still sat and heard the case. Then on point 8, she says the basis of the prima facie case have not been made available to her for her to prepare the defense to her charges. I want us to look at these issues before we come back to point 9. Lawyer, having gone through the supplementary affidavit, would you consider any substance in this at all? Well, Lawyer Ansari, it would appear Lawyer Ansari is not on. And so Alex, I guess it comes to you then. You've seen the supplementary affidavit and some of the things that I have indicated from this affidavit. She says that she hasn't received the basis for the prima facie case for which she's being, for which she's going through the process, and that she wants to have it so that she can prepare her defense to the charges. I was a bit confused by that because we know that the petitions were given to her. She responded to the Council of State. What do you think she may be referring to over here?
Well, I mean, the point is, when you, as you rightly indicated, even that process, as I mentioned earlier, was something that could have been ignored. But the president didn't do that. He went ahead to give you, and even gave you more days than you even requested for. You requested for 7, you were given 10. Now, you had ample time to write your response and give it to the president, and he passed it on to the, I'm sure, to the committee. Aside that, now you are raising issues of fairness, fairness. I stand to be corrected. What is the fairness? Lord Hope of, former president of the Supreme Court of England will tell you that fairness is like beauty. It lies in the eyes of the beholder. Who is looking at it is seeing something as fair or not. What is fair to you may not be fair to me. And likewise, what is fair to me may not be fair to you. What is this fairness that you are talking about? Under normal circumstances, the president could have ignored you by not even giving you even the entire process. You were given. You asked for 7 days. You have been given 10 days. And you are still saying the process is not fair. So what should be fair? What should be done to make it fair? Is it by putting cameras on you for every other Ghanaian in every part of the country to see you talking or your lawyers talking for on your behalf to make it fair? or by bringing the process from Osu Castle onto maybe Independence Square, for everybody to come and stand there and watch you? What to make it fair? I mean, you see, let's not be too emotional about these things. And like I said earlier, as lawyers, we deal with law and not emotions.
Why is he using the word emotion?
Okay, let's be more. No, I mean, if not emotional, why? I mean, why this statement?
We are making submission dispassionately. It's not emotional.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about what Madam is trying to. To put up. It's emotional.
Oh no.
It's emotional.
No. You see, when more likely than not, when someone has made a point, save that she's putting her issues.
So the unfair part is what? Help me. The unfair part is what?
The point is that the point should be made. But when you say she's making,
I'm asking a very simple question. I mean, the unfair part is what?
Because she's arguing dispassionately in law. So it is for one to agree with her or not.
I agree.
But to run her intelligence down to say...
I'm not running her intelligence. I'm saying that where is the unfair part?
Once you cap the point or you slice it down that she's being emotional...
Counsel, you're not helping the situation. I'm saying that where is the unfair part?
No, it is a matter of law.
I mean, that unfairness keeps on coming. I want to understand where the unfairness is.
I want us
so that's a good interrogation. But
where is the unfairness?
The use of the emotional
because I've made issues. I mean, I've raised points or arguments to the fact that you have been given more than you even asked for. So if you say that somebody is not being fair to you, where is the fairness? How should it be?
Give me a one.
Help us. Let us know that it should have been this, and it's not so, and you are doing this. So that is why I'm saying it is not fair. Where is the fairness? What should you do to make it very fair to you and to every other person surrounding you?
Well, she says give her the basis of the prima facie case so that she would prepare her defense. How about that? Now, let's take that to... I'll come to you, Dr. Zato. I know you've been quiet for a little bit. When you start right now, we'll all keep quiet. But let's go to Lawyer Kweku and Sasari. Now, lawyer, we've been talking about the issue of the CJ asking for the basis for the prima facie case in order for her to prepare her defense. And we've tried to, draw a parallel between that and the fact that the president already gave her the 3 petitions for her to respond to. Is she asking for something she already has, or there is something really in law that she should receive or get the basis for that prima facie in order to help her prepare her defense?
The question again is not clear at all. Hello?
Hello, lawyer, did you hear me?
No. The question again?
Yes, I'll try again. I'm saying that when we look at the supplementary affidavit that was originally struck out in the case in court, it would seem that she makes a request that, look, she hasn't had the basis for the prima facie case, and so she's not able to prepare her defense, so to speak. I'm asking, is there a place in law for that she needs that in order to prepare her defense, especially when the president is already giving her the 3 petitions?
You see, let's break it down so we can all understand. Prima facie, simply means that for the case of it, is there a case to answer? And if there's a case to answer, then the committee will be formed. So as far as the consultation between the president and the state, when they took the view that CJ will have a question to answer, and therefore they should establish a committee, which has been done. Now, a supplementary affidavit is not or cannot be relied upon as a matter of course. When you file an application, it is always accompanied by an affidavit. And in the affidavit, you spell out the grounds, which you rely upon when you are moving the court and also making your argument. So your submission, with both factual and legal. So the factual depositions are the matters, material facts that the applicant will rely upon, and then it should be supported by, a legal argument. So the two together will assist the applicant to move the court and then leave the court to decide one way or the other whether the application succeeds or it will fail. Now, if you want to rely on additional information that was not contained in the original affidavit, you have to take the leave of the court, in order to file and rely on it. If leave was not sought, you cannot rely on it, and it should be struck out. If leave was sought and the court admitted and adopted it, then it was merely because the process has been admitted that cannot be struck out. So I don't see the argument about this documentary affidavit. I think it's a talisman that ought to have been admitted willingly. It doesn't follow that way in the courtroom. In the courtroom, you have to obtain leave of the court before you can file rely on a supplementary affidavit. So it's not a matter of course. Unlike the main affidavit in support of the motion.
I see. Lawyer, thank you so much for those points. Dr. Zato, I'm sure there's a lot you want to react to, especially on the issue of fairness. Is that the case?
Well, no, thank you very much. And as I said, there was something that, once again, I think that is important here. My point is very clear on this, that two big institutions, organizations have come out to publicly state that the process is not fair. They've said it. The Ghana Bar Association says it's not fair. That's not Dr. Zato talking. That's the Ghana Bar. The Parliament, the majority leader, acknowledged that. He duly acknowledged by saying that there are certain provisions the law that needs later. That is a tacit acknowledgement that that process too is not fair. That's what I'm saying. But what is now happening now? I know that we cannot, like as Martin said, the law does not make for. You cannot say because of what you know. But that doesn't mean that the process is not fair. That's my point. I'm not saying that, because you said this. No, the law has been made. The law is that we are using the existing law. But the existing law we are using to sack her is not fair.
Dr. Zato, what isn't fair to you in the process?
I'm saying that is what the existing law, I will refer to the institution. 3, somebody then said one thing. The Ghana Bar Association made a decision. It was just a very few of them that made a decision. I agree it was a few of them. But the Ghana Bar Association has laws. Those laws do indicate when and how a decision can be made by the Ghana Bar to be representative of the whole bar. By their own laws, they have a quorum. I think they did. Because they have a quorum, they made a decision on behalf of all the lawyers in this country, and their decision that's not fair. That's what I'm saying. And I give an example, for instance, that Parliament, they're saying that there are boycotts in Parliament. But you cannot say because there's a boycott that you've left, the law we've made is an NDC law, it's an NPP law. You cannot say because you've boycotted and then we've come out with a minister, it's an NDC minister or NPP. You cannot say that. Precisely because Parliament, in making that law, had their quorum or made their figure. So the argument by these two illustrious organizations is that the process is not fair. And that is the process we are using to go for this woman. It is based on all this that I didn't come to my conclusion that the woman is a goner. It is based on this that I'm saying that the woman has left. No. I'm not saying, I'm not the one saying the process
but we know that the impeachment process is not only there to determine your exits. Yes. We could go through the process and they'll say that no, there's nothing. No, so my hypothesis is that. My question is why does everybody? My hypothesis is that she's gone. Yeah. My hypothesis is that based on everything I've seen so far, based on the corpus and the gamut of information and everything there, I'll tell you one of the reasons I've come. The actual thing has not even gone to anyone. But I'm saying this is gone. Okay, one day I hope we will meet and then you say, Doc, you lied. But let's listen. There's one thing that I've seen. The Council of State is supposed to sit in the conclave, right? Their decision there is covered and we are not supposed to see what happens there. The Council of State comes out with their legal decision. I've already made a point. Akufo already made it public. Agree or disagree with him is there. President Mahama hasn't made it public. We don't know how they got to that legal decision of yes. But something else happened. Ghana Web reported that in a news story that the communications director of the NDC actually know how they voted in the conclave. That he came out to say that the vote in that conclave, in that secretive conclave, was 30-1. No, he said that after it was made public. By whom? But made public by whom? It was the Council of State. The Council of State has not come out with this. It was in the media. I read in the media. Please.
Sorry.
And again, I just want to put on record that we haven't reported that.
I'm not saying you have. I'm not saying you have. No, I'm not saying you have. I'm saying that media reports directly quoting. I can the National Communications Director of the NDC quoted him saying that the vote in the conclave was 30-1. In fact, some media houses actually goes along to say that the person who voted abstain was the former Chief Justice. Yeah. My question is, so far, I haven't seen, maybe is there an official response from the Council of State debunking or denying that. Yeah. I haven't seen the Council of State coming out to reprimand somebody because, look, I'm a Catholic. The Catholics, we just went through a conclave to elect the Pope. Imagine somebody publishing news authoritatively that this was how the cardinals actually voted. You will be excommunicated. The conclave or the Catholic Church, Vatican will come with a statement. The Council of State has also, the only thing we now have to go with is the statement that has come out by not a new person. If it was a foot soldier of the NDC, I wouldn't say anything. If it was a foot soldier, but it's the National Communications Director of the NDC saying that he not only did he know how they voted, but that he actually saw the ballot. Because if you don't see the ballot, you cannot say 30 voted for them. How did he get it?
And for some say you saw the ballot.
No, I'm imputing that. If you say 30 voted for and 1 against, how did you see the 30?
No, but Alex is explaining that.
I'm hoping and praying that the Council of State, for its own integrity, for its own, will issue a statement debunking those allegations and then putting it so that we know that their deliberations were truly secret and are not released.
Haven't we long gone past that?
No, we haven't. It's also important for us because look, today, if I'm teaching students and I'm telling them that decision making, public policy decision making, this decision was made. But then somebody tells me, but you said that the testing was supposed to be secret. But how then do we know this? What do I tell them? Do I tell the students that yes, your question is valid or your question is not valid? I'm saying that this case can be put to rest if the Council of State were to issue the formal statement and say, look, we did our constitutional rule. We advised the president. But we cannot comment on or we refute the allegations because see, there are institutions in this country that care about their integrity. Remember when Honorable Adongo came out and made statements about monetary policy by the Bank of Ghana? Swiftly, the Bank of Ghana issued a statement to disclaim that. Because the Bank of Ghana wants to maintain and keep its integrity and sanity. I am saying that the Council of State ought to learn from that. To also say, look, this never happened. This is not our record. Let it go. But if you leave it hanging like that, we are forced to believe that there's merit to that.
I see. We'll take it now to Professor Jampo. Prof, your finger has been up for a while now.
Yes, Keminni, I am finding it difficult how in appreciating why Joshua Zato wants to stretch the argument of unfairness. And the argument that is about the processes not being unfair isn't as a result of his own appreciation of the issues, but he's citing others. And I'm telling him respectfully that you cannot stretch what the majority leader said to insinuate unfairness. The majority leader hasn't said the process is unfair. He said that some more clarity and definition can be brought to the procedure or to the process. And respectfully, we all went to primary school to do English comprehension. How does this get stretched to that level or to that angle that one will say that by force, the majority leader has said that the process is unfair, and so someone would want to use that as a basis to make any argument? The other bit is that I still want to make the point that you would have to refer, you see, in philosophy that we studied, there is a fallacy called argumentum ad vericondiam, appealing to false authority. The GBA, as it stands now, is not an authority to be referred to in anything. If the GBA says the process is unfair, I find it difficult how anybody, if not even the GB as a whole, if just about 40 people out of the 8,000 membership.
No, but Prof, that point has been argued that there was a quorum.
Let me hammer that point. If just for the purposes of argument, if the GBA says the processes are unfair, will you say that the GBA, as it currently stands now, is an authority that can be referred to or can be cited? If an authority can be cited, then there should have some credibility. And I'm saying that we don't want the GBA that behaves like a group of people that only goes out there to pray when the party they don't like is in power. And then they shut up. All of a sudden, they stop praying when the party they like gets to power. And even when the party they like is not doing what is right, they shut up. If you do that, you lose credibility. And so my point is that the GPA over the years has only been heard when NDC is in power. Let us state it bluntly. They keep quiet, they shut up. The misgovernance, the bad governance, and all the things that Akufo-Addo perpetrated on Ghana. Did you hear GPA talking? No. So I find it nauseating when anybody wants to refer to what they have said as a basis to make any analysis, in such an important important platform like this. So my point is that if we say the processes are unfair, let us have a full grasp and appreciation of the sources and traces of unfairness. If you want to talk about the fact that the woman is saying her husband was not allowed to go with her, and so you think it's an unfair, that may be your opinion. But I've heard a lawyer say, saying that legally there is nothing unfair about it. But Martin Kpebu tells us that, well, it wouldn't have hurt anything. If that is your description, or you want to use that as a basis to say, well, maybe something could have been done about that, I mean, we can go that route of argument. But we have studied the processes, how the whole thing has evolved up to now. The fact that John Mahama has not behaved like a political rascal in handling this. He has even gone out of his way to show many acts of magnanimity in handling this matter. And then you are saying the processes are not fair. So for many, the processes will be fair only when it is discontinued, and then the woman, the prima facie case or the issues raised are just thrown into the garbage. Will that be what will constitute fairness? I think that we must be serious and dispassionate, in analyzing some of these things. If you say that the processes are unfair, you yourself list those sources of unfairness and let us all appreciate.
I see very well.
To quote the Ghana Bar Association's position as a basis to make any argument, for me, will be that you are committing a fallacy of argumentum ad verecundiam.
No, but Prof, I thought you were going to make...
It is completely disingenuous for you, Jampo, to now say that I cannot quote an authority or rely on authority. The Ghana Bar Association is an authority. It's a representative of lawyers. No, gentlemen,
let's have him make his point. Let's have him make his point.
When you are UTAC president, you cannot tell me that on the eve of election. You took us on the strike review election. The vote for that election was not 100%. And then
gentlemen, stick with the issue.
What are you talking about?
Dr. Zato, stick with the issue.
I'm sticking with the issue.
No, we are not talking about you, tax. Let's take it.
Because the person he's sincere attacking me for my position. I'm not attacking. You took us to strike on the eve of an election. The decision was not 100% voted by UTAC. But UTAC made the legal requirements to declare strike. They did. It was quorum. That's the same point I'm making. You can't make that strike. Even when Labour called of the strike, you still insisted that we should stay on the strike. We made the call. I'm not saying we get notice. But damn, they didn't make quorum. So you did that. You made decisions like that. Today you are saying that I shouldn't use this.
We can't hear you if all of you talk. No, we can't hear. We can't.
What I'm saying is that you did the same thing. You did the same thing as you
No, pull your brakes. Pull your brakes. If all of you talk at the same time, the viewers will only enjoy the raffles, but we won't understand what you're saying. So please finish.
Professor Jampo is saying that I cannot base my analysis on the decision of GBA, Ghana Bar Association.
Yes.
Because the Ghana Bar Association, according to only 40 people make a decision. Okay, this is my argument. I can and I will, and I'm doing that. Because nobody has come out to say that the Ghana Bar Association doesn't have the power under their own bylaws and laws to make that declaration. Nobody has come to say that. It doesn't matter if there's one person, but if the law says or their own internal rules agree that they can make that decision, they made. So it's an authority now, I am telling you. And then I give an example to illustrate that. You were our UTAC president and Legon. You took us to a strike, or the UTAG members voted for a strike on the eve of an election. An election of which you are now a very big beneficiary. It wasn't 100% of UTAG members who voted for that strike. No. Yeah. Some people abstained. So, in fact, I know a union, UPSA, that almost was against that strike. But we went because that was a collective decision. We went on that strike. Right, you are not the biggest beneficiary of that strike. How can you say that we cannot also do that to another union when they make a decision? We can and we should. And that's what I'm doing.
Dr. Zato, again, gentlemen, thank you so much. I want us to wind down on this subject because we have others other things. No, Prof, hang on for me. I'll have you give your final remarks. Everybody will have a moment for their final remarks.
I just want to be fair. If you are mentioned, I will respond.
No. Please. I think I think you have had a go at each other.
I didn't say that it is only because of the fact that a few people voted or came out to say that the process was fair. I also went on to make the point that the Ghana Bar Association at the moment suffers credibility deficit because they are only
that's an interpretation. That's your interpretation.
I understand why you would not bring this particular point.
No.
If you can say they are suffering credibility,
yes,
good, fine. I am not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. But
right. No, that's enough. Gentlemen, that's enough. I mean,
so make your argument. Let me also make my argument.
All right, gentlemen, let's pump our brakes at this point. I think that no. I think instead of taking a go at each other's position, the whole idea. No, Prof, please listen to me. The whole idea of having many people here on the same subject is so we will have different opinions and arguments. Yeah. And so let's not have a go at each other because we disagree. Yeah. Can we agree on that?
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic.
He's not angry. He's just that.
No. So let's have our closing arguments. Listen. No. You see, what I wanted us to do. Dr. Zato, what I wanted us to do, that while the...
You say he's as chill as a cold beer, so I mean it's okay.
While the supplementary affidavit is no longer part of the case, the Chief Justice, her requests in them or her concerns in them will appear to be the basis for why those who subscribe to the idea that the process is unfair holds that position. And I was hoping we could go through them. We couldn't. So I'll take final remarks. But as we're doing it, particularly for those with legal knowledge, she mentions that the petitioners will not be called as witnesses in the case. And for her, it doesn't give her the opportunity to cross-examine those who accuse her of the things they accuse her of. I want you to find a place in law where it says so or says otherwise. Analyze that in the face of the law. But for the rest of us, I guess we can give our comments on whether or not we agree with the Chief Justice's position or not. I'll start off with you. Dr. Zato, I want to start with you, but you already used your time.
I think you still want to say something.
Professor Jampo, I should start with you. Professor Jampo, I'll come to you, don't worry. But let me move on to Hesi, because that's the way we have started since the beginning. I'll come to you, don't worry. Hesi.
Yes. It's a strict law that a party, you can't compel a party to testify in a matter. So Mr. A sues Mr. B and
he decided to use me
and raises a number of issues. When we get to the trial, Mr. A can decide that I am not testifying to support my own case. I can call my good brother here to be my witness, and it is strike law. It's the same thing when during the election petition, Jane Mensah decided it's a discretion, and I believe that her leadership knows about that. I mean, it is strike law, and it is also supported under the Evidence Act. It's in respect of calling witnesses, and it is nothing new. It is supported by procedure. And then legislation. I mean, so
now you agree with me that I'm saying that the petitioner she's more emotional than being lawyer.
No, I don't want to use the word emotion. In law, we are all permitted to argue vociferously. But in doing that, once you use the word emotional, it's more like you are slighting the intelligence of the person.
Oh, no.
I mean, maybe it's not the best argument.
It becomes more ad hominem. It's a fallacy of ad hominem. So you let us have that that reasoning, to progress than using those ad hominem semantics, and it doesn't. So let's have it dispassionately, but supported by law. A party cannot be compelled to testify in his own matter. He can decide to call other witnesses to further whatever testimony he wants to put out to corroborate his case. It is, and one thing I also need to add before I end up my submission is that the petitioners have every opportunity by the burden in order to establish their case. And just as we have eminent judges there, they know that it will not be the weakness of the Chief Justice's response. In this situation, let's say she's more like the defendant. It is not about the weakness of her case that determines the success of this. It is about the petitioners, of course, the petitioner's case, and that is also established by law, case law, authorities from the Supreme Court. So this is the position of the law.
But I mean, to the substance, and I hope you can take this one for me. The flip side of what you have said is also when the petitioner in a case decides not to get into the dock and be a witness, it could also be a sign of either a sign of a weak case or perhaps there is a strategic decision.
It's strategic.
You think so?
It's strategic. I mean, as is supported by law, I've had cases where strategically I decided not to put the party, the person bringing the action in the witness box, and have other people come in to testify in order to firm up the. It's a legal strategy, and lawyers deploy various legal strategies in order to win their case or put their case across, and it is supported by law, especially the Evidence Act in calling witnesses and all of that. I don't know what my senior would add.
You see, sometimes apart from strategy, it's also the fundamental rule is personal knowledge. You see, so you can see from Daniel Fori's petition, we are not going into details, we know it's okay, maybe I shouldn't use that one, since they say the petitions and the processes are secret. So let me use a different example. So if, for example, you write in a petition a number of things, and all those things, or most of those things you've written, you don't have first-hand knowledge of them, then that petitioner will not be going to the box. So, Keminni, this is the answer. So for those who are, sometimes people want to hear the name of the law so they can refer to. You're looking at Section 60 of the Evidence Act, right? The one we use in court, Evidence Act. Okay, Section 16, thereabout. It's about personal knowledge. And I'm sure in ordinary English, you hear people say, oh, this one is hearsay, meaning that it's not strong enough. In law, we permit first-hand hearsay, right? But generally, it's not as strong as when you have personal knowledge. So let's say Dr. Zato saw Professor Jampu. Okay, so let's say Professor Jampu is Chief Justice. And then Dr. Zato sees Professor Jampu and Keminni having dinner. Meanwhile, Keminni has a case with lawyer Chumberima in court.
What an interesting example to use.
Good. So it's Professor Zato who saw, right? But the petition is by lawyer Man. He is the petitioner. So in this case, you see that Man didn't see the dinner. It was Zato who saw. Even though, because Zato saw, okay, he can narrate to Man. If Man comes to give evidence on, they will say first-hand hearsay. It will be admissible based on certain conditions. I don't want to go far, but the bottom line is that he didn't see himself, so there are a lot of things he can't answer to, right? So usually, it will just be better in terms of strategy that, look, Man is the petitioner, but when it comes to giving the evidence, he is calling Zato because it was Zato who saw. That's law. Because he will suffer too many disadvantages under our law. Unlike sometimes you hear in the media, a lot of lay people say, first-hand hearsay is admissible, except issues of the weakness in it, etc. It's another matter. The fact that,
I mean, so once again, the commission or the committee didn't do anything wrong in taking the decision.
No, it's law. It's law.
Okay.
The point about personal knowledge, it is under the Evidence Act, just as you said. we normally use that to impeach credibility and also to impeach the witness himself, so that if you don't have personal knowledge, the likelihood is that the person will enter into hearsay, because you first need to test the person's knowledge. So it's about land. Then you start asking the witness in the box whether the witness knows the boundaries of the land. To the north, who is there? Then he is either lost. To the south, to the all of that. What is the size of the land? Where is it? They say, I put it to you, or I suggest to you that you have no knowledge about this, or you have only come to this court to mislead the court, or to show a lip service, or to support whoever that person is. So we test personal knowledge in order to impeach the witness credibility as far as the case is concerned.
Okay, so let me just end.
So that I can go around.
Remember, but we still have an outstanding part where, the last time there was the election petition, when it comes to constitutional office holders, the Jimensa matter. We shouldn't take it that by answering.
Is it the 2020 election petition?
Yes, when she didn't man the box. That's not the one we are talking about, because that issue, I'm sure someday will be settled in court, whether a constitutional office holder, when it comes to such matters, should come or not. Even though in that particular case, Jimensa didn't testify. That's not the end of the matter. So that we'll leave it out. But ordinarily, what I've said, first-hand hearsay is weak. But as for second-hand hearsay, third-hand, we don't accept at all, right? So if the person who is presented the petition sees that he's disadvantaged, so the ones who have personal knowledge saw with their eyes, ears, smelt it, etc., those people can testify.
I mean, there's no time to argue it. But
let me read this case to you. It says that Ashalibotre Lance, Ajete Busu, and others, Kote and others. We know of no law in the common law jurisdiction, especially in civil trials, that mandates a court to compel a party to testify against his will. The failure of the petitioner to testify himself is therefore not fatal to his cause, as the law permits that. What is required from him by law is for him to call requisite witnesses or put before the court sufficient material as evidence. So it goes to corroborate what I'm saying.
I see. Let me go to Professor Jampo as we are wrapping up. Your final comments on this, and then I'll come to Alex and then Dr. Zato.
Well, just to make the point that if the Chief Justice has a legitimate case to answer, let the processes be respected. Let her go ahead to answer. At the end of the day, if she is guilty, the law must take its course. If she is not guilty, let her be exonerated based on the facts and her own defense that she would also mount. And as we all watch the process, it's important that we look at things dispassionately and not to try to make comments or make charges and tags that we can describe as not being well-founded. I still want to make the point about the issue of the processes not being fair, and to say that anybody who believes the processes aren't being fair or aren't fair should have a tangible reason for saying so, and not to cling on to the position of an organization that only comes out to speak when one particular regime is in power and goes to sleep when another regime is in power. That's all I want to say in concluding.
Very well. Thank you so much, Prof. But stay with us because we have something else to talk about. Alex, I want you to perhaps, because I was looking at the body of work for her responses to the impeachment process, it would appear she's very much, of the opinion, based on what we have seen so far, that she thinks this process will end up removing her and not sustaining her in the process. Do you get the same impression?
Well, I'm not in the shoes, unfortunately. I can't really say that.
I mean, based on your analysis of her response.
So, you see, it's one of the two that is going to happen. You are either going to be asked at the end of the day, if everything goes in your favor, you'll be asked to go back for your position and go back to your office as Chief Justice. So you become 70 years and then you go on compulsory retirement. Or if something else comes up and you are unable to justify it, and they find it to be an issue, then they will put up their recommendation to the president for him to act on it. That is the rule. So one of these two things is definitely going to come out. But you see, as to why you want the petitioners to be speaking themselves, Madam, as my colleague just said, you know that very well that you don't necessarily need those gentlemen or whoever they are to come and speak for themselves before they can make their case strong. Let me take you back to 2013. The NDC through President Mahama, 2021. The NDC through President Mahama, we went to court on an election petition. When he went to court, President Mahama, who was the main petitioner, never sat in the witness box. It was Johnson Asiedu, the national chairman, who came to speak for him in court. The reason which has been made known earlier is that someone who can speak well to the issues, someone who has deep knowledge about the issues that we are talking about. If you are talking about politics or elections and you put Asiedu Nketia in the witness box, there is no way he would defeat or deviate. And that is why he was in there. So if the petitioners believes that if I put him very much that he's the best person who can speak for me and make my case strong before the committee, so be it. Nothing compels him to come and sit there and speak for himself because he has written or putting together a petition. There are judicial pronouncements that speaks to that. There are laws that speaks to that. And for that reason, they are not, they haven't fallen short of the law, which makes it, unlawful for them to have tendered in a petition, yet they decide not to come and speak to whatever they have tendered in, and then someone else to come and do it for them. Madam, again, knows that very well. Lastly, we saw a similar position with the EC, even though, as Senior Radley mentioned, there are other arguments to that, they are not the same. She was holding the constitutional office. And for that reason, accountability was key. So she should have been asked to come into the witness box and testify. But in any case, the court on a different angle believed that no. As the Evidence Act rightly stipulates, you can't compel someone to come and speak because there's a case against him or her in court. So they will not do that. And indeed, the court did not do that. So in this same manner, if we are equating this committee to the level of a court, they too cannot compel the petitioners to come and speak for themselves because you brought a petition or you wrote it or whatever. So my only, appeal is that she should cooperate with the whole process. Continuous raising of concerns upon concerns, going to court, other people who are not even parties to the issue are also going to court for you or on your behalf or whatever, right, would not add anything to this issue. Let's go through it. Who knows? Maybe at the end of the day, you'll be able to justify your stand to the extent that you come back to office. Except you believe that maybe the case that you responded to is something that really defeats you and that at the end of the day, you will never succeed. Very well.
Let's move on. Dr. Zato, you have the last word on this one.
Wow. Thank you. Some people have sent me
the wow is too strong.
Well, it never happens. Some people have sent a message telling me to calm down. Look, I don't know how else to say it. I'm calm. And those
maybe they want you to be speaking just like this.
Just like this. Well, I can do like that, but I'm the only one that is receiving fire. But I'm receiving fire, and it's difficult for you to speak like this when you are receiving a rapid fire coming from everywhere. Every normal human being will go in a defensive mode, and that was my defensive mode. I will try to be like this. Look, people have equated. People have
Professor Jampo, we can't hear you.
People have
we can see you talking, but we can't.
People have made the argument that people have made the argument that it happened to Charlotte Osei, yes, unfair, unjust. It happened to the former Auditor General Domelovo. It happened to Disciple. Yes, it happened. And the same thing has happened. That is true. They were not fair. But there's one striking difference that has not been made, and it is this. The Chief Justice is a co-equal arm of government. She is number 4 on the list to succeed His Excellency the President when he's not there. So the removal of the Chief Justice is a big issue. It's a very, very big issue. There's a reason why under this constitution, correct me if I'm wrong, no Chief Justice has been removed. Even under General John Rawlings, who may he so rest in perfect peace, who has a military background, he has never removed a Chief Justice. So it's a very big deal. And then we must make sure that it's done. So that's why I'm saying that I am happy that she's fighting with everything she's got. Madam Chief Justice, your fight is righteous, your fight is virtuous. You are fighting with integrity, you are fighting with honor. But I know, and you know deep down that you will go. The day you receive your letter, Madam Chief Justice, the day you receive your letter, I want you to organize a very big party.
Are you not being prejudicial?
I want you to organize a very big party in your house.
That's a fair question.
I want you to organize a very big party in your house the day you receive letter. I want you to bring brass band, bring live band music. Plenty food, plenty booze.
No.
Invite your friends, invite everybody. Oh, by the way, please, I beg you, invite me, I'll come. So I can eat and drink small. And celebrate it, because history will be fair to you, history will be kind to you. Your fight is righteous. Thank you.
Dr. Zato, you know, are you not being, prejudicial like Alex is asking?
Okay, let me put it this way. My hypothesis. Yes, my hypothesis is that. Okay, let me put it this way. My hypothesis is that. My hypothesis is that she's a goner. It can be falsified or it can be corrected. But that's my hypothesis.
I thought your concern would be the precedence this whole process.
That's why I'm saying that her fight is virtuous and righteous. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. When it happens, she should do a very big party. She should celebrate, but only on the condition that she invites me to come and chop some. She will go. In the end, she's going. Nothing's happening. Unless she left a purse, they may let her. They will give it to a police to come and bring it.
Let's move on. Let's move on to our next topic, gentlemen. Because for one thing, Prof, you gave your final comments, and you are coming back.
Just a small point. If Joshua Zato, who believes the processes are unfair based on what others have said, not out of his own conviction, but based on what other less credible agencies have said, believes that the Chief Justice is a goner, then he should tell her to go and not to waste our time.
I see. No response. Let's move on to the arrest and detention of Chairman Wontumi. We know that this week has been very, very busy in the news around Chairman Wontumi. By the way, if you just joined us, this is Key Points on TV3 and on 392.7. We're also streaming on x.com and YouTube as well as facebook.com. Get in touch with us with your comments. I'll find some time to read those comments as well. But like I was saying, the week was very busy with news around Chairman Wontumi, how the MPs decided to go on a sit-in protest in front of IOCO offices here in Accra. They did similar exercise at the NIB offices, including stalwarts of the party, former government officials, and the former vice president. Subsequently, the media got a hold of the counsel for Chairman Wontumi, Andy Appiah-Kubi, who detailed a few things to us regarding the fact that he had received a surety that was able to meet the bail conditions. He had received someone who was able to meet the bail conditions. We also heard from him when he described the whole situation of protest, the whole protest. He described the whole protest as theater. And for me, that was very mind-blowing. We'll get into the conversation around that as well. But most importantly also, is the fact that the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Justice Sremsai, went on his Facebook to tell us more about why IOCO was holding Chairman Wontumi. And I'll explain to you a little later why this is important. Because on his Facebook page, he tells us, suspect Bernard Enchibwe-Siakon, a.k.a. Chairman Wontumi, is under investigation for various criminal offenses, including fraud, causing financial loss to the state, and money laundering. The criminal investigation is running concurrently with asset recovery processes to prevent further dissipation of what the law enforcement agencies strongly suspect to be proceeds of crime. The suspect is also under a second strand of investigation, which is part of a larger international organized crime scheme. And that's what he put on his Facebook page. And this is very important because initially, prior to IOCO picking him up on Tuesday, on Monday, he reported to police CID over issues around the environment, entering a forest reserve without authorization, mining without authorization, and then also issues to do with illegal mining, if I'm correct. Let me know, my producers, exactly what those caution issues were. But then also, Tuesday, when he reported to the CID again, then he was picked up by IOCO. So questions were whether or not it had to do with that same issue. So the Deputy Attorney General coming out to tell us a bit more about it, put some clarity on why IOCO was keeping him. But then his bail conditions became top of the news subsequent to that. So let's have a conversation on the back of these issues around Chairman Wontumi. Gentlemen, this time I will start from my very far left. Hesi.
Yes. Chairman's issue, it's a lot of convoluted matters. I believe that the position of the state is that in constitutionalism, they say duty comes with right. So duty in jurisprudence go hand in hand with right. So once the state, the institution of state has been conferred with power, we call it power conferring authority, and we can trace that power through the regress of the validity of the law. They are carrying that particular function, and to the extent of all the charges that they have leveled against him, I believe that due process must follow, and the corresponding function on the other side, like I mentioned, is his right. So that if he believes that there's any infraction against his rights, he has every recourse to law to deal with it, and also to have it adjudicated upon. Because in the function of the legal system, the law must always be, there must be a habitual pattern of obedience. And so, and in that habitual patterns of obedience, when you go to someone like Austin, he says that in that it is backed by orders and sanctions of threat. So that where one disobeys, then there would be a sanction. Indeed, that sanction does not necessarily happen automatically. That is why we have the adjudication process. And through that adjudication process, whether or not causing financial loss, the money laundering, the environmental issues, yes, there have been some documentaries run and all of that. All of these things will be tested in the law court. And indeed, if the man is found culpable to have done all of that, where the acts of the law falls, so be it. That would be my initial position on this.
I see. I want us to take a listen to counsel for Chairman Wontumi, Andy Appiah-Kubi, last night on Ghana Tonight.
He is receiving attention. He is wholly good, he is wholly healthy, and there's nothing to worry about in respect of his health.
Secure the bail now?
We have been able to provide the sureties. That one I can assure you. And I'm very grateful to Honorable Brian Champon, who has supported me to file the documents. He has brought his documents to which goes over and above the value of money that is required. So I thank him very much.
So that means your client is going home tonight?
Oh, well, obviously no.
Very well. Andy Appiah-Kubi there. We'll take a look at that one from Ghana Tonight as well, because he goes a little deeper in the conversation. But again, for me, Lawyer Kwebu, he describes the whole protest as theater. He says that they can't get Chairman Wontumi out now because of a legal process. You remember that Gary Nimakon had applied for variation of the bail conditions. Your thoughts on these?
Okay.
Well,
yes. So, yeah, bail matters,
yes,
right?
Yes, yes.
Like Ma'am said. You know, what I should say is that apart from his comment now, you know, earlier, Lawyer Appiah-Kubi had commended Ioku for a very professional job earlier in the week. You know, he was arrested on Tuesday afternoon. Then they were there, far into the night. So Wednesday morning, I heard him on Neat FM commending Ioku for doing a professional job. And that was that very night that Ioku admitted him to bail. It's just that he's not been able to meet the conditions yet. Yes, so I heard Lawyer Appiah-Kubi commending Ioku. And for me, that was heartwarming, because you know how lawyers generally, we are distrustful of state institutions, and when it comes to bail, the arm twisting, etc. But he was very clear that Yoko had been very professional. And I'll say, Obo Mabaso, yeah, commending them. That was what he said. Yeah, so we should, put that on record too and see how that trajectory has played out, right? Now, so once he said it was good, they had been admitted to bail, then it stands to reason that all of their efforts were to be channeled in getting or in meeting the conditions of the bail. So it means that, all the party sympathizers, the contractors, etc. If you didn't want one person to overexpose himself, the bail condition, it doesn't say that only one person should provide the 50 million. So presumably you can even get 50 people whose properties are worth 1 million each, right? And if you add them, you get 50, of course. But if there are 50 people, the verification will be more tedious. Because, you see, another point we should notice that the bail conditions, they said to be justified. So in law, when we use the word to be justified, you are admitted to 50 million Ghana cedis bail to be justified. That means that those coming to sign the bail bond must prove that they have the properties. As I said, there's no rule that it must be only one person, and there's no rule that each person, if you are bringing 10, they should all be 10 million each. No, any proportion. But the main thing is that those persons coming must prove. So either nowadays they accept investments in bank, okay, treasury bills, etc. But of course, subject to certain conditions. We can't go into all of that, but you're allowed to use the investment because they do. I've seen some involved in cases in the past, right? But usually the popular security that we use is immovable property. That's a house, bare land, etc. Right? So immovable security. So that one is there constant. But they would have to go and verify at the Lands Commission, and that takes time. Yeah. So I have mentioned that we need to modernize Lands Commission. This digitalization, etc., make it faster so that even when he was admitted to bail 11 to 12 p.m. on Tuesday night, then Iyoko would have sat in their offices, then went onto the Lands Commission database to check the sureties you've brought, are their properties registered, etc. Then they could have executed. But you see, Lands Commission is not yet there. Iyoko is not linked to Lands Commission. And by extension, all the law enforcement agencies, we hope it gets there so that you do an online search and then, boom, you are done, right? So that is one thing. One key thing we are learning from this whole process is the law reform. 2 weeks ago, I mentioned house arrest. We've been talking about it. The last time I heard house arrest in Ghana, it was in respect of Atimbila, is it DCOP at the time, also the police chief. Yes, it was his case that he was given house arrest. Then they said it on radio that, okay, he's been given house arrest. Let's make it more accessible to all citizens, right? More citizens. So when they do the house arrest, I don't think he's there. So it's not just you stay in your house. They'll put a tracker on your hand or ankle, and then it will be monitored from the state institution involved, the law enforcement agency. So there will be conditions that you can't go out of your gate. If you go towards your gate, you touch your gate or something, then there will be an alarm. It will blow. They will come for you. So it's something, and you see, it's not just curious. It's a bit painful that we've learned to put trackers in vehicles, cars, so that renters can go on. But when it comes to our personal liberties, we don't care. We are still using 1960 laws. Why wouldn't this happen? You see, so we need to modernize the law. That's the key thing we should be learning. Because you see how embarrassing it was. Yesterday, Baumia went there. He was now crying that they had made prior arrangements, but when they got there, they couldn't see the authorities. I said, you see, when you were in office, you didn't care. If you had modernized the law, today you would not be crying, because he said they had made prior arrangements, meaning that before he came, the calls had been made, and perhaps some assurances had been given that he will meet Remonacha. In social media, they are now calling him last killer. That's just by the way. So today you have Baumia crying because he didn't modernize the law. It's a lesson to all of us.
I see. That's the defect in jurisprudence called the the starkness of the law.
Thank you.
The starkness of the law must be cured by the rule of change, as Professor Hart said.
I will pass the bar by the time we are done today.
But so then the key, one other key thing is that let's be careful. I've heard people making arguments that the 50 million is unreasonable. The 50 million is unreasonable. And I've heard lawyers say so. Okay. And even before we go into Wontumi, do you see one very conspicuously missing fact? What are the details of the charges? Do you know how much is involved? And I've heard lawyers who are supposed to be seniors at the bar say it's unreasonable, it's unreasonable. What have you used to measure? Have you heard the facts? Have you heard? You see, one thing that Iyoko too must learn from, you see, all these charges of unreasonableness, etc., it's also showing that Iyoko hasn't managed the process well. Let's be very, fair.
How so?
Yes, they should have come out with the facts by now. And Mr. Archer is a journalist, okay? Maybe from here we'll be prompting him.
Raymond Archer.
Yes, yes. He's a journalist. You know information flow. If you are taking somebody like Wontumi, he has a lot of following. So put out those allegations. Yes. Look, there's no rule that says
but there are those who have argued that Iyoko does not owe us a public statement.
No, that is absolutely
on what they
wrong.
are doing.
That's anybody who says so is absolutely wrong. Governance runs on information. You can't say that it's not anybody's private property. Then you don't even know what you're about. So
as an intelligence...
No, intelligence agencies give information. It depends. You manage it. You see, what was brought out later by Dr. Sremsai, yes, but it was late. You see, and especially as Mr. Archer is a journalist, so you should have known that our society thrives on information free flow. So bring out, if you had to say that he's involved in tax fraud involving 1 billion Ghana cedis, that doesn't change anything. Well, the fact that has been put out there change the investigations. It's your sources and how you are gathering the evidence that you don't put out. But if the allegation is that somebody's brought you a petition that is involved in tax fraud, 1 billion Ghana cedis, I hear on the grapevine to things like he has bought a lot of stolen vehicles, okay?
I believe that is why maybe the deputy AG came out.
No, but he didn't put facts enough to.
Detailed facts.
You see, they are saying that the 50 million is unreasonable. So you should say the tax fraud involves
this amount and that.
That doesn't change.
At this point, we cannot take any of those things that are going around on social media. We don't have the information.
No, it's
we don't know the details. No. The issues about stolen cars and all that. We don't know. We don't know.
I said grapevine.
I don't know, we can't do grapevine.
So I've heard, yes, so you see, so even that one, yes, I'll take it back, sure, not a problem. But you see, when you do this, then you're going to bring a lot of unnecessary trouble. So I think the authorities should learn from this. This is basic. Bring out, there is nothing that is, esoteric about stating that the tax fraud involves 1 billion, this and this, the money laundering involves it. That's all. It's the sources. Where are you getting your sources? How you are gathering the intelligence? That's why you don't reveal. But there's nothing wrong with bringing the headlines. That's the cause of all of these problems. So because I've been saying I'll restrain myself, so all the interviews are granted. I said no, I would wait because I haven't heard. But as I kept waiting, I said no, I think there's something wrong. The more the citizens are charging and this thing is going on, then it means that there's something wrong. Then I said, oh no, it's the investigative body. They should have come ahead with enough facts so that these things are by so unreasonable. So they should learn how to manage the information. It's not been managed well at all in this case. Because Baumia also went in there and said it's unreasonable. They said, Baumia, which lawyer is advising you? You should have said that. Iyoko hasn't managed the process well.
It brings the question of what determines the reasonableness.
Exactly. Right. So if you don't know the figure, so you see why I said Baumia shouldn't have said so.
Said that.
Very wrong, very bad advice. He should have been advised that why is Iyoko not bringing out the details? If he said there is a tax fraud involving 1 billion, this and this, what is wrong? You say it. So he got wrong advice. I think next time his advisors should analyze well.
But legally speaking, the reasonableness is left to the agency that is granting the bail.
Yes. And also we have a law, Act 30. It says that bail should not be excessive. There are some principles. It's not comprehensive enough, but they'll tell you that don't use it as punishment. So let's say if the facts were to come out and it shows that, let's say put everything together, all the figures point to, let's say, the total figures involved is 20 million. And you go and set bail at 50. People say, how? So usually what the practices is that, yes, if the allegation involves 50 million, then you set it. And it's not every allegation, but maybe if you see money has moved or there's some money with the person, that's when you set it. But if it's an allegation and there is nothing tangible, the fact that they say that it involves tax fraud of 1 billion doesn't mean you set bail at 1 billion. No, they look to see, has some money come to Wontumi? And Wontumi's case, I'm sure that one, trust me, because of the cocoa roads and the other things, you see money has come to him. So
well, I mean, but the issue of the cocoa roads, he said he's not taking any money.
No, oh, that's false.
Because
that
if you are constructing roads,
that is false. I mean, the things are. So I'm also telling you that it's false. You've heard his, you are saying his. I'm telling you that it's false. He was paid hundreds of millions. That one we can't. Even the one I said grapevine, I just decided to just walk away because it's not been made official. But people know, I mean, people know, these things, people know them in town. So we are still on the principle. You're saying that how do the reasonableness. Yes. It's not just what the state institution thinks. We have some laws, some provisions in the Act 30.
But are those laws clear enough? Because again, we seem to find ourselves at a juncture where the use of excessive reasonableness without proper clarity.
Yes.
Are we looking at a situation where we have to reconsider those again?
Yes, so absolutely. That's why I said earlier that we need to reform the bail laws. We need to reform. Look, the Supreme Court at a point, even Justice Doche was asked to do some work. He did it, and then it got lost, I mean, because they didn't progress. So there have been attempts to reform the bail laws. They didn't go anywhere. That's how come the Supreme Court has made some efforts through the 3 decisions, Pebu number 1, Pebu number 2, Pebu number 3. But that's insufficient. We just need to come out with a full act of Parliament on it, the Bail Act, so that we will take care of a lot of these problems. So back to the reasonableness. So Keminni, what we do is that the practice has evolved, and thank God there are 2 other lawyers here, they can corroborate or maybe say I'm wrong. You see, so like I mentioned, Keminni, if somebody were to go to you, right? So if I say come to you, then you are CID boss. So let's use another example. Dr. Zato petitions Keminni CID boss that he has given a lawyer man 1 billion Ghana cedis for some trade, blah, 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 and lawyer man has not done the work. Now, when they are going to set bail, Zato is put it in his petition, but he's not been able to show a transfer of the money. Can you imagine such a colossal sum? You don't have, what do you call it, bank accounts to prove that you sent it. Man is brought in, he comes and says, no, the money was 20 million or 100 million. Now here is Zato, who sent a lot of money, allegedly, but has no proof. The police cannot base their word on Zato's claim that it's 1 billion and say, man, the bail is at 1 billion. No. But if he had shown back accounts, okay, transfers, totally 1 billion, and true, man has not done any work, police will be likely to use 1 billion. But the moment you cannot prove 1 billion with any transfers, and man is saying it's 100 million, they are likely to come this is in man's direction, that 100 million, because that one. Or let's say the 1 billion, maybe Zato proved only 100 million. So peg it on what can be proved, right? So it's not done in the air. Some of them, they are not in the act, but it's also practice. So the key thing is that, please, those saying the figure is unreasonable, you'll be in for a shock.
So the protesters then, we can say, put the cart before the horse, because they didn't have details of the bill. They just jumped to it's too much.
No, I wouldn't say they put the cart before the horse. I think there's something to be said. What the plain truth with all laws is that Yoko hasn't managed the process well. Come out with enough facts. Me, this thing I can't support. I can't support anything. Look, we are building a democracy. Hey, you don't know when MPP will be back. I don't want to say some things and then tomorrow be like, you were the one saying. The plain truth, they are there because something went wrong. Put out the facts. The tax fraud involves this. The other money laundering involves this. This one, what is so secretive about that? So I won't say that they put the card. If you don't manage information well, this is what you get.
I see. Dr. Zato, I mean, do you think there was germane and genuine cause for the protests that we saw yesterday and 2 nights ago?
Thank you very much. You know, after listening to Martin, I don't know what else to add. But to say this, Chairman Wontumi is not above the law, and nobody is above the law. And I am in favor of any process being used by the state, legal processes, to try to hold public office holders in general and individuals to account for their actions or their inactions. You will not see me sitting here and say that should not happen, because it's part of why we run a political system, it's part of why we are a democracy. But in this democracy, we said that things must be done by the law. And sometimes even where I think the law is not explicit, we've tried to say that the state must seem to be fair, must seem to be humane and to do that. So again, I'm not saying Chairman is about the law, but if you look at the way he has been treated, in my own opinion, it's inhumane. Now somebody will say other people have been treated like that before. That you can go through our history and see political opponents of other political parties that for the 8 years of the NPP they did worse or they did similar. And that if you go back to look at the other 8 years of the Indies, they did better. Isn't that a more reason why we need a reset? Isn't that a more reason why we need to bring a more humane process? The funny thing is, it's always the politicians or those in office who are crying, who are perpetrators, and then the next time they become what? The very people, the victims of the whole process. So the process seems to reproduce itself. And I don't think that is fair. Look, people of rational minds look and say, look, why are we doing this to ourselves? And I say you can go through the list, the long list of people who were maltreated under the NDC government. And now, when people they are now here. Meanwhile, it's the same people. If you can literally see a revolving door of a perpetrator and of a victim, of perpetrators becoming victims and of victims becoming perpetrators. But there is no political appetite or even legal to solve it, to address it. And I think that is where we are wrong. Look, there should be a big appetite to do that. So what I'm seeing, therefore, becomes a weaponization of the bail system, if mentioned it. I'm wondering, if Chairman Wontumi struggle with the bail, what about the so-called ordinary man on the street? What about the ordinary, I'm saying this with all the respect, the ordinary teacher, the ordinary nurse, the ordinary unemployed person. And I was thinking, and somebody told me, look, Joshua, it's worse than you think. You can go and see people sit either in police cell or somewhere for so long because either a judge or somebody has weaponized the bail system to deny the person of their fundamental right. Why are we being so inhumane to ourselves? Why do we keep doing this? It's not fair. Perception is reality and king in politics. And since I don't know the law, I always want to go.
Oh, you are allowed.
And I am happy you made the point that Iyoko in and of itself has not managed this process well. And look, so I see some complicity in Iyoko based on what is happening. Because you made it. I'm asking, imagine in an alternate world, Iyoko calls this man, say you are under arrest. Straight they take him to court, put charges there, and now leave his fate to the court.
Yeah.
Imagine in an alternate world, not even an ideal world, it happens that, look, Chairman, we are arresting you. Chairman, straight to court. Court, this is what we have against him. That's the transparency you're talking about. That's the accountability you're talking about. Then we can now see what is in the charge sheet. And then you now tell the court. Now he and his lawyers will now be arguing before a court. And then the court decides whether he goes. Because I've seen it happen. I've also seen Ghanaians, highly exposed political people, being given self-recognized bail.
Yes,
self-recognized bail. But you see, it's because here of the agency of the person. Yes, Chairman Wontumi is flamboyant. Yes, Chairman Wontumi is loquacious. He speaks a lot. Yes, Chairman Wontumi is a major political player. And yes, Chairman Wontumi likes it. Look, he has a big voice and he has big platforms to talk about it. Maybe you don't like his politics. Maybe you don't like how he does it. Maybe you don't like even him. You think he's a braggart. You think he shows so much bravado. And then you think that it is time to teach him a lesson. It is time to cow him into docility. Those are not justice, looking for justice. Those are vendetta. And those become very vindictive.
Is that how you feel about the process?
I'm saying, yes, I'm just telling you now. There's something you said about, there's something you did about perception. And part of the argument going that, and there was a way that Iyoko has dropped the ball on this one. Look, there's already a perception in Iyoko about the Iyoko boss. There's an argument that under the MPP, he suffered so much indignity and injustice. Under the MPP, his properties were destroyed, were seized by the state. That the MPP was so wicked and so bad to him. That is already there. That perception is there. Now he's in charge of Iyoko. Now he's come. And the argument then is that it is now his time to say justice is karma is a bitch, better said what? Cold. Now he has his time. You see, when you juxtapose what has happened, what was supposed to be a normal, boring legal process, we are arresting you, we are charging you, your fate is with the court. When you now bring all these nuances, when you now bring all this other effort, it then looks like the Yoko now is now being weaponized to go on a vengeance, and that is not like kind of like a vengeance on steroids by this individual. And when you do that,
Dr. Zato, I mean, in order to draw the connection that this could be vendetta because Raymond Archer lost his business under the tenure of the MPP, then we should be able to connect what Chairman Wontumi did during that period to how Raymond lost his businesses. But at this point, we are not able to do that. What we have rather are real charges against, or well, not charges at this point, but real accusations against Chairman Wontumi. How are you drawing the issue of vindictiveness and vendetta?
I am not saying there's a causal link between those two. I've not said that. I'm not saying there's a cause and effect between those two. I'm saying that there seems to be a correlation. And I also did say that perception is king in politics. I'm saying it is a perception. I'm not saying it's based on factuality. People are allowed to have their perceptions.
Yeah, was it perception?
Perception, yes. So I'm saying it's a perception. I'm not saying it is law. I'm saying the perception here seems to be that this gentleman suffered inhumanity, in indignity when the AP was in power. There's a perception. In fact, that's a reality. That's a reality. Now, this same gentleman is now in charge of these coercive state investigative bodies. And it just happens that this is the same body that is now teaching Wontumi a lesson. And as Martin made a point, I'm saying yes. That is look. So now, and as Martin said, if you had been, it's a perception that he's teaching a lesson. It's a perception that he's teaching a lesson. Yes, it's a perception that he's teaching a lesson. Now, and I'm saying that all this could have been avoided or prevented if, like Martin said, there was enough accountability and transparency. If by now, look, take the case of the Adubohin guy. Yes, everything is there. They've charged him. There's a charge sheet. You can see them. And then that is transparency.
He came out very early.
In fact, he actually, the Attorney General,
to be fair, he came out early, but he didn't drop charges.
Exactly. I know. But he came out and he said, these are the issues at stake. And these are the issues I'll be taking to court. And he went to court, he put the issues there. So right now, it is between the two, the prosecution and the defense and the judge, the court. Assuming a similar thing had happened at Word, assuming it was a simple process that you come and say, look, this is what he has also done. Even if you want, but I want to ask a question. Did he actually need to be in the eco cells before they can do the investigation?
Sometimes, if let's say he is hampering, Wontumi, to be fair, if you ask people in Kumasi, there have been times when he's not been fair to people in Kumasi, like the allegations that he terrorizes people, etc. So where there are fears that if he's out there, he will prevent people from responding to a cause. That's if only there is evidence. If only in law, that particular one, interfering with investigations, we don't say it lightly in court. There are many judicial decisions where the courts have warned police not to make that statement lightly. But if you have evidence that he has already called X and Y and warned them not to talk to police, you can tender it, but we don't make it lightly. And let me quickly add, like what you said, you see, look at people who are familiar with what happened. Liverpool celebrating their victory a few days ago, and then the man who ran into them. You see, the Merseyside police, what they did was that they came up with charges and came and briefed with this in the populace and said that they are still investigating and they will keep reviewing these charges. So as the investigations go on, if it turns out that these charges are no longer great, they will drop them. They will drop them. So this particular one, I think the information flow has cost us dearly. It's cost us.
I see. So Dr. Zato, just a few questions for you as you finish your point, right? Because I'm a tad worried about how you make the issue of how you put across the point on perception, because it would appear to impugn the integrity of Raymond Archer as well. And that is why I'd ask you, first things first, when you say that the process is inhumane, what are you identifying as inhumane?
Thank you. Again, I'm saying that perception is king in reality in politics. So I'm not talking law, I'm talking politics. There's a perception there.
And the law
and
I've
also said that, yes, there are incontrovertible facts that he suffered certain injustice under the MPP. And so that perception could cloud what he's doing. I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong. I'm not saying he's doing right. But that is on the personal side, the agency side. But as an institution, I think EOCO has dropped the ball. In that, one, I said that and Martin is saying it, there are better ways that they could have done it. As I said, arrest the guy, charge the guy, put it there. And you made a point. Even if the case then was that if you leave him on bail and if you just go ahead, he will interfere. That, and as you are saying, that evidence, we've not put it there. So all of a sudden, it seems that there's this black hole, there's this vacuum of no information, of no knowledge. And so what we are then seeing is that two main players. There seems to be Chairman Wontumi on the other side, and then they seem to be. And His Excellency, the former Vice President, made a very important point. And I think that, look, hate his politics or hate our politics. But if it is true that he did speak to somebody, and if it is true, because what I know is that there was a funeral in Tamale, the Mionlana's funeral, and that, the former Vice President was at that funeral. So I think the only reason why he could leave that funeral to come to Accra would be that he had a kind of, I want to say probably a gentleman agreement with somebody, or he has spoken to somebody, and the person said
before Yoko picked him up?
No, before Bawumia came there, what I heard is that there had been prior arrangements.
Because that was what he said, yes.
Indeed. I think we'll have Alexander tell us a bit more about that. But you know, the point I'm making is that you still haven't identified to me any inhumane activity that Yoko may have conducted against him.
Saying that if
he had access to counsel, he was ill, he was taken to hospital, he was granted bail. And so in the process of, I mean, where would that perception even come from?
That man has been in court since Tuesday, right? Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, Tuesday.
That's I don't think that is humane. I don't think so. Personally, I don't think that is humane.
Okay. Because we don't know the facts. If we had heard maybe he's been paid X amount of money, the money went into his account. These things will not be happening.
So what I want us to do is to differentiate the issue of Yoko's lack of communication. I think we all agree on that, that Yoko's lack of communication has complicated people's position on this. But while we know that and agree on that, we should differentiate that also from whether or not Yoko acted right or wrong in dealing with Chairman Wontumi directly.
No,
I don't think there was anything inhumane.
No, again, I'm saying that those two things are mutually inclusive. That if the process, if we consider that they've dropped the ball, if we consider they have not told us why the man is being not enough detail, then why are you keeping him like that?
For instance, what I know is that is it tantamount to, because remember, Chairman Wontumi has been granted bail, bail conditions that have now been met. From his own lawyer, Yoko has been very good to them. And so when we sit here and feed into perception that Yoko has been inhumane to Chairman Wontumi because he's been there since Tuesday night, we'll be on the wrong path. Can we agree on that?
No, what I can agree on is that I hope that some of these issues we are saying, that institutions take them on to help with their reforms. The thing about institutions is that if you don't point out some of these things, they become too big and they continue on the path they are because they think that they are on the righteous path. My point is that as a student of reform, it's important to point out these things, hoping that somebody inside Boyoko could listen. And they said, look, in future, if we have another big fish or a bigger fish, let's probably do this. We call that reform, and those reforms are good. At the end of the day, they are aimed at what? Making our union more equitable and more fair. And that's the point I wanted to land on. If somebody spoke, if the former vice president spoke to somebody at Iyogo, if they had, I'm not saying he did, because I'm also reading.
He said prior arrangements.
If there were prior arrangements that he would come, and the man come and he cannot even meet Chairman Wontumi. I'm saying that look, there is something fundamentally wrong with that. Look, somebody showed me a video when I was coming here of former President Mahama meeting Koko Anyedoho, who was held by intelligence for charge of treason or something like that. I'm saying that somebody sent me
held by the CID.
The CID on charges of treason. I want to believe treason is higher than what is happening now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the argument the person was trying to make is that in that case, the former president was allowed to at least meet Koko Anyedoho. So, and I'm sure in that case too, I don't think the former president just went there, say, hey, let me see. Probably he made some arrangements. The argument now is that if His Excellency, the former vice president, also made these same arrangements and came, I don't think it was too much to say, at least see him
for the same thing,
at least give him a hug or give him a handshake, at least solidarize with him.
I think the exercise of discretion was not proper.
Exactly. So I'm saying that whosoever did that, please, look, we are all hoping to build a better Ghana. The Americans will say towards a more perfect union. In Ghana, we should also strive to create a more perfect republic. And in doing that, things of the past that were wrong, we should be bold enough to say that, look, this was wrong yesterday, but I am going to take the high road and I'm going to make it better. If we keep beating the same path, it's not good.
I mean, for me, I support the reformation.
I'll come back to you on your points on the reformation, but let me go to Zoom now. Professor Jampo, we've been talking for a while now on the Chairman Wontumi issue and whether or not there are germane issues around his detention in Iyoko, the protests that followed involving members of parliament on the minority side, involving former government officials, and even the vice president himself, who had gone there to see Chairman Wontumi. But of course, the protest was already there, so he greeted the protest as well. Talk to us. What are your thoughts on this? Prof, you have to unmute.
I am surprised Martin Kpebu is sitting down for a very harmless point or recommendation he made to be stretched and into a very big universal set into which all other allegations of inhumanity can be dumped. Martin essentially was trying to say that in relation to the argument that the 50 million bail condition was too much, maybe Iyoko could have come out to explain to the Ghanaian public, to educate or to let them know why the 50 million bail condition cannot be described as too much. And so he was saying that a little more of information to the public would have been good, would have been better. And as a political scientist, I side with him. But of course, if you speak to the Iyoko, they also will tell you they have their ways and means of operating. Okay, so they may tell you that they may not owe you any explanation here and there. They may have their own argument. I may not, as a governance person who believes in transparency, I would go with Martin Kpebu, and I've always had the cause to say that sometimes some of these public institutions would have to have very quote and unquote offensive communicators who would come out swiftly to be able to explain things, put information in the fore to shape public narrative or public discourse so that people will be clear in their mind. That was what Martin Kpebu was trying to say. But suddenly, we are told that that harmless recommendation that they should have been out there explaining is an opportunity for us to say that Iyoko has been inhuman and has been unfair. And I don't see how Iyoko in this particular matter has been unfair and has been inhuman. And then we are told that Raymond Acha suffered some punishment. You know, he lost his property, and because of that, necessarily, then he's doing something. I think that I am uncomfortable about this analysis, and I regret not being in the studio. The next time I'll be in the studio, I think I would appreciate, because sometimes I want to quickly also banter to set some records straight. But because I'm far away, it's difficult. But the point must be made that, you see, the Chairman Wontumi case, in my view, is a test of the resilience of our institution in dealing with crime perpetrated by those I refer to as politically untouchable. That the man is now entangled in high-profile criminal investigations, ranging from Galamsey operations to financial crimes and transnational money laundering, should, in my view, evoke not just partisan debate, but public alarm. This is not merely about the man Wontumi. It's about a certain attempt at normalizing impunity. It's about a certain attempt at eroding institutional credibility and the dangerous fusion of political capital with economic banditry. It is about whether Ghana, 32 years into constitutional rule, still possess the will and tools to hold power brokers accountable, even if they are wearing party colors. So the recent arrest, reportedly sanctioned by a legal court warrant, in my view, is a significant turning point. Ghana's law enforcement institutions have historically shied away from confronting politically insulated figures, especially those embedded in ruling party structures. So the YOCO, in collaboration with international partners, that they have decided to pursue Wontumi and to fight financial crime, in my view, should be seen as something that is welcoming. But my little fear is that Ghana has been here before. Our history is littered with politically charged arrests, followed by strategic silences, drop of charges, or quiet plea bargaining. And I want to urge YOCO that in their pursuit of justice, they must not copy this bogus political culture. If YOCO believes that Wontumi is culpable, he must not be shielded by the opaque architecture of elite immunity. That people are saying that the 50 million bail requirement is too much, in my view, must not elicit the kind of reaction from the minority. And this is why many Ghanaians are missing the leadership of Oseche Mensabosu. In my view, there should be a sensible way of using dialogue behind the scenes to appeal for a reduction of the bail condition that yields desired and beneficial results. So it's not about abandoning constitutionally mandated duties to go sit on the floor just to show loyalty to a rich man rather than protecting the national cause. People are saying the bail is too much, it's too much. But people have been given a bail condition of 500 million in Ghana here before. These guys never said that it's too much. And are we to be fooled that the 50 million bail condition is too much? They think we don't know what they have. They are just afraid that if anybody elects to say, I'm going to do that, then people will be questioning you and all that. And I'm arguing that even if it is too much, there is a sensible way to go behind the scenes to use dialogue, to talk to people that, look, we are brothers. We are brothers and sisters in Ghana. If you look at how the politicians behave behind the scenes, you'd marvel. I was the coordinator of a program called Ghana Political Parties Program at the hosted by the Institute of Economic Affairs. When the politicians meet, outside their attitude is different. But when they meet behind the scenes, they are brothers. And so if we have this kind of relationship, why won't we exploit it to go behind the scenes and say, look, the man genuinely may not be able to raise 50 million. And so we are pleading, can it be varied? Can we be reduced? Can it reduce? Think through dialogue, we can achieve. And Che Mensa would have led, in my view, the minority group better in doing some of these things than what we are currently experiencing. So indeed, the minority caucus unannounced protest at YOCO's office, led by its leader, raises a curious paradox. That the minority would abandon parliamentary procedure to defend a senior MPP figure under criminal investigations reeks of opportunistic theater, not principled resistance. Their protest raises critical questions. Are they now vanguard defenders of individuals under investigation for financial crime? Please, what they are doing is trivializing serious concerns about justice that is deliberately then repackaged as if it's a partisan stance. Let us be clear in our mind. Those calling for Chairman Wontumi to be investigated and, if possible, prosecuted, they are not anti-Wontumi and they are not anti-Ashantis. They are anti-impunity. The attempt, I don't know whether you've seen it, there is also a certain disingenuous attempt to ethnicize this thing that is going on. But I'm saying that the attempt to ethnicize the debate is an insult to the intelligence of the good people of Ghana and the good people of Ashantis themselves, many of whom have been loudest critics of how Wontumi have conducted himself. And so my view is that, look, if what he's done is wrong, let the law take its course. If he has defense, credible defense to defend himself, he has good lawyers. Let the lawyers also defend him. Let us not all of a sudden be seen to be necessarily by force puncturing hole. Who are we? The lawyer himself who is defending this man is saying that the processes have been fair and he's applauded the Yoko. Must we sit outside and necessarily by all means find challenges with everything? I don't think it is fair. I am not interested in this kind of thing that, and we can have a national conversation about it, that so every now and then the power changes hands, we have to go after people here and there. If it is not good, let us have an elite consensus about it. But the point is that we must not be seen to be showing loyalty to some rich men who have been accused or who have been taken through an investigative processes, and the processes have not terminated, and then we are showing loyalty to them instead of projecting what is in the national interest. It doesn't help. Then it's like anybody can do anything, and the moment you think they are coming after you, go wear party hat, and then you will try to then water down the effectiveness of the state in trying to address some of these. I think it is not fair to us in our forward march to ensure that the right thing is done, in our forward march to ensure that we demand accountability. If Yoko must put out information so that people would know, I'll go for that recommendation. But beyond that, I don't see why anybody should struggle to say that Yoko has been X has been Y, they are not doing their work well and all that. And I, like others have said, I don't believe in the politics of equalization, that it happened to this and so it must happen to that. I don't believe in that. It's a bogus practice. I believe that Prof, as we build our nation, we Prof, must
we'll have more time for you to speak, but let's bring in Alex now. Alex, in addition to what you want to touch on based on the speakings so far, under what circumstance do our security and intelligence agencies begin to talk to people? Under what circumstances, what considerations do you make in setting bill as high as 50? Well, Professor Jampo said it's not high, but it's a lot of money. So however we look at it, 50 million cedis and the likes. You are in security. Talk to us.
Okay. I wish I have started from somewhere because it would then make me. But I'll definitely come to
go ahead and then come to me.
Yeah,
afterwards.
I'll come to your point. Yeah. So this whole thing started with police inviting. Oh no, I mean police going to his premises in Kumasi to get him, and then it turned out to be that okay, some people, I think his lawyers then time over there, agreed with the police that they will come to the HQ in Accra, I think on Monday, because I think it was a Friday that they went there, if I'm right.
Yes.
So, yes, he came to Accra on that Monday, and then reported again on Tuesday. And then he was picked by the Yoko people on Tuesday. Immediately from there, the arguments started coming up from the MPP end that, why has he, why did he even go to the police, and then after that, the Yoko will come and arrest him? Why is the Yoko also having issue against him when he's before the police already? You see, whenever you are making such arguments, you need to first understand what law establishes all these institutions and what are their mandates. Yeah. The police have a mandate to arrest you when someone comes to report you to them on something. Yoko, by their law, permit me. If you look at their Act 804, you reckon that per Section 3, for instance, they have the right to investigate financial and economic loss to the state, money laundering, human trafficking, among others. They also have the right to prevent and detect organized crimes, and also generally facilitate the confiscation of the proceeds of crime. Now, our good friend and brother, the learned Deputy AG, has made us understand that they are holding cases such as fraud, money laundering, and what else?
cross-border international
money laundering, fraud and others against him.
Yeah.
So he was arrested. I listened to his lawyer, Senior and Diapekubi, and he's one person, to be honest, I must say it here. I've said it before him several times, and I respect him so much because of the way he always carries himself and how he makes his arguments. He's always very objective. You reckon that if you look at the behavior his other colleagues were putting up over there and the way he has conducted himself, any reasonable man will respect him and also accept his conduct. He made it clear that the arrest which happened before him was not unlawful. And that the people were having warrant of arrest to arrest Wontumi. So where from this argument? Why are you, making it look like it's like someone is after him or at all costs or whatever? If somebody or if an agency certified by that matter has a warrant of arrest against you and they can arrest you, what stops them? Whether or not you are with the police or you are with NACOC or you are with BNI, it doesn't change anything. In any case, you can even have case with BNI, you can have case with NACOC, you can have case with Yoko, you can have case with the police. All can be running concurrently. Nothing changes it. Nothing changes it. Today you are before police, CID, on the, I think, like a senior case, right?
Yeah, we reported
exactly
Adam Sananu and
the CSO.
Yes.
And Galamsey.
Exactly. Yeah. Just take that alone. Look at the video or the work that was done by our brother. Thank you. And look at the damage this gentleman has caused to this reserve forest. Under Nanda Konkufu and Baumia's government. And nothing was done. When people were raising concerns, the president then was rather defending him. Today the table has turned, and let me say it here. No human being is judged when you are alive. The Bible places the judgment after death. So you'll be put to questions on accountability when the government that was shielding you is no more. And that's why today you're answering questions. There is nothing like intimidation. If Wontumi should not be answering questions, who else should be answering questions? I'm asking. We should not ask Wontumi questions because he's an MPP regional chairman. And so what? So we should not put questions to him. He can just do anything at all and just go away because and one funny thing that I even heard, that is because he's contesting or he's about to contest as a national chairman for the MPP. That is why we are doing this. I mean, who cares about your national chairmanship? Whether you win or lose, it has got no effect or impact on this country. That is your political party. We don't care what will happen next to you people. But that doesn't defeat the fact that you must answer questions where necessary. Yeah. Now you have been arrested. Yoko, I think by the second day or so, they are granted bail by the second day.
Very night, 11. I think I could be 11 to 12 midnight.
Okay. So even the very day that you were arrested, bail was granted to you. Under normal circumstance, all these agencies, that I mentioned earlier, we have the power to keep you 48 hours maximum. And after that, you have to put either before court or grant you bail. But you were even lucky. The very day that you were arrested in the morning or afternoon, by the night of that day, bail has been granted. Now certain conditions were placed. Meet it. Then you see lawyers even within their party saying that, oh, it is too outrageous, the bail condition is too high. Who can raise that money? Really? Were you guys in this country when we were putting 100 million on the Tadufo? Were you guys in this country when we were putting 54 or so million on Wontumi and Co? Namuan, do you know how much you put on him as bail? Do you know how much you put on him as bail? You're all here. But it was okay, for Amwabin and Co, Namuan and Co, because Namuan, it was alleged that he has defrauded some people, and so if you put 500-something million on him as bail, it's okay. Nobody spoke. Now it's your chairman, so you are speaking. This is a guy who said he's richer than every other person in this country. He sat on his TV.
Well, what has that got to do with the case?
Now, so if you are richer than every other person in this country, how can 50 million cities be issued to you? You are bailing yourself. You didn't build people around you to make it so that when you are in trouble, they can come to your aid. You see the way you are struggling. And you are making it look like someone is trying to punish you. Nobody is punishing you. You have been given bail. Meet the condition and go to your house and then wait for the next actions. If not, if you can't meet it, don't blame anybody. Blame yourself and blame the people around you. And next time, to be a lesson to you that if you go home tomorrow, build people around you and not just yourself. And that will put you in the position that tomorrow, if you are in trouble, someone can come to your aid and assist you. When you call someone that, oh, Chum is in trouble, the person is willing and happy to fall in and then assist you. But because you are being selfish to yourself, you see that you are being struggling to get someone to come and assist you. I wouldn't be surprised if Abi was the one who convinced I mean, the MP, what's his name? Brian Champo. Yeah. To that extent, you even accept.
But you know you don't have any basis to call.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that
selfish. You don't have any basis to call Chairman Wontumi selfish.
Oh, so he's not selfish.
But why are you calling him selfish? What's the basis for that?
Agreed.
So you withdraw.
Okay, so Chairman Wontumi is not selfish. But it's a lesson on him to build people around him. That will make it far easier for him next time round. But now, let's proceed, Keminni. The issue of whether or not he has gotten himself involved in fraud and other things that we are talking about. These are money laundering and code. These are not trivial matters. So if you want him to be pampered, when such charges are being raised, then I don't know where you are coming from. Are you saying that when somebody, puts a charge on someone, the person should not be made to answer the questions? Or now it is now a crime to put somebody in cells and then put a bail condition on him? It has never been a crime. I agree with the position that, we shouldn't make it so outrageous for it to become very difficult for him. But if 500 million was good, 50 million is nothing. If 100 million was good, 50 million is nothing. We didn't criticize 500 million. We didn't criticize 100 million. So why are we not talking about 50 million? Which is like a token when you compare it to that 500 million.
Right.
You get it? So, I don't buy that argument. Lastly, I want all the people who are singing, for his MPs who went to sit on the floor, I said it somewhere, that it's their choice. Their constituents didn't send them to go and sit on the floor at Yoku. They were sent to Parliament to go and represent their constituents, make laws and ensure that development will get to their constituency. You decided to go and sit on the floor on behalf of your constituency, regional chairman. That is your choice. It doesn't change the status quo.
And their right to protest.
Oh, of course. It is still their choice. They decide to walk from Parliament to that place. It's their choice. But it will not change anything. The law, as Madam said, will continue to be the law. And it will be applied to the root. It will be applied to the root.
Alexander, I know you haven't finished your point, and even my questions too have not been touched on.
Yeah, so now give me a question.
But we have to take a break. When we come back, I'll have you finish the point.
And then you put your question again.
And then I'll put the questions again.
Very well.
You're watching Key Points. Don't go away.
Oh, and then you're up by. Go straight. No, I don't left, right. That's right. Ghana na ye wono. So when you do more, and you're that now. Oh no! Abe, Mr. Police, and you didn't come in here by you to be a number. Oh, food to be and then you can.
Welcome back. It's Key Points here on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. I'm Keminni Amanor. I'll quickly go over my guests. I have very limited time and would have to use judiciously. Next to me is Alexander Chumberima, his Deputy Director General of the Narcotics Control Commission. And next to him is Dr. Joshua Zato, Policy Analyst, Senior Lecturer, UG Political Science Department. We also have here lawyer Martin Pebu and Christian Maum Hesi, also a legal practitioner. On the virtual side, on Zoom, is Professor Ransford Jampo, who is CEO of the Shippers Authority. He's also professor of political science. Gentlemen, thank you so much, but we have very little time till we hit 11 o'clock, and so we'll use it judiciously. But Alex, I was with you.
Yeah.
What are the considerations really you would make for a security agency, for instance, to come up with a bail condition like that? What should it tell us about the accusations against Chairman Wontumi?
Well, the accusation, if I'm just going by what my learned friend, the Deputy AG, has said, if you look at the kind of crimes or offences that he has outlined.
Oh, but those are just labels, right?
Oh, yes.
So then, what I'm trying to get from you is, from the security and intelligence point of view, for you to set the bill at that high, what would be the depth of those labels that the...
Oh, but the amount is not even that high now. And moreover, it's not a money that you are going to bring to the table that is the money. You understand? So it's not something that if you are looking for, you can have a property worth than even more than that in this country. There are people who own several properties here.
So the bill isn't a problem.
It shouldn't be a problem.
And it doesn't show the depth of the accusation.
The accusation, well, you can link it to it, fine, but the amount is not that extremely huge as they are trying to portray. Because you see, the way they were talking about it, if you are not careful, you may think that it's something that they have asked them to go and bring that money, to come and put it and show you that this is the money. That is how the layman may pick it. But it's not, that is totally not the case. Just show a property worth that. Or if you have it, maybe, as I was even saying earlier, about 50 people can say, I have 100 million, and then lump them together, you can get the total amount, and then it can be used to secure his bill. Show it, that's all.
But in the course of an investigation, what will make an intelligence agency speak to the public or not?
Oh, well, from let me use my end, for example. Whenever we pick, let's say, a suspect, we mostly tell the public, or we release some kind of press, or let's say a news item on it, short, just giving you an idea of what we have picked,
right?
And then who the person and where the thing even happened, for instance, and then that investigation is ongoing. So subsequently we'll be informing Ghanaians about the stages that we've got into. I agree that maybe Yoko should have come up, let's say even a day after the initial arrest, and then let Ghanaians know why they arrested him, for instance, that he's been arrested for A, B, C, D, and that investigation is ongoing. Simple. Yeah. So I'm sure, having said that, I'm very sure that maybe my brother Raymond will be picking it up from there, and then subsequently he would, if he does that, it doesn't change, interfere or does anything to the investigation that you are going to do. You can still proceed with your investigations and go ahead and get any other thing that you want. The only difference sometimes is that sometimes you shield certain things just because you may feel that if I mention that maybe the Doc is the one that I'm having, and maybe Senator Martin gets to know that he has something to do with Doc, and he has heard that his name is out there, maybe whatever investigation that you are going to do may link Senator Martin to.
Okay.
And you may need to arrest him or whatever. And for that reason, if you put it out there for people to know that, oh, Doc is with us, then the next thing, he is also gone.
I see.
That is why sometimes we
don't communicate.
Exactly, especially where you want us to be doing it. Because sometimes people feel that when the moment that thing happens, tell us. But we go back a bit. Let me give you an example. When we are dealing with something like cocaine matters,
okay,
you don't just break the news that, oh, this person has been arrested on cocaine. Because most of the time, you may find the person being a courier. And there's somebody that he or she is doing it for. Right. So the moment you do that, that person...
Right. I see.
That is why sometimes you don't communicate immediately anyway.
I see. But why wasn't the vice president, maybe not why, because you wouldn't know, you don't work for that intelligence agency. But was it fair? Was it fair that the vice president, a whole former vice president, goes to see a suspect in custody, and then you turn him away just like that?
If you ask me fairness questions, I always quote my
Lord Hope.
Lord Hope, thank you. That's like beauty. Lies in the eyes of the beholder, Keminni.
But so what is your eye saying?
My eye is not saying that it's not fair. I mean, my eye is saying that it's okay. He said that there was an agreement between him and some people, right? Is that what he said?
Well, I haven't heard that. Oh, I haven't heard that.
Prior arrangements, rather, sorry. Between him and that he'll be coming there. And then you go there and something else happened. Well, maybe the person that you was going to see was not there.
The person he was going to see. But who else will he go and see over there? Who else? Why?
Maybe by the time that he...
What kind of courtesy call is that? Who is he going to see over there?
Relax. Earlier on, you said that he was in the north for a funeral, right? I think it was said so. You said he was in the north for a funeral, so he was coming from the north to Accra. So maybe by the time you got to Accra, whoever person you were going to meet was not available.
No, Alexander. If this was court, I would say let's strike it out. But Hesi, yes. 2 minutes. Final thoughts on this.
I believe there should be reformation. I believe, just like my senior colleague said, I call for reformation in respect of the whole bill arrangement. There should be certainty of the law, especially pulling together state actors on how that area of law should be conducted, lay down procedures. It shouldn't just be about the big fish, but as practitioners of the law, we are always hustling and jostling with even ordinary citizens, not to talk about big fishes that comes online and it gets public interest. But it is everything reformative. And also, when it comes to big fishes and all, the interplay between politics and this thing also goes a long way to affect the justice delivery. We should have sanity in that arrangement, and that sanity will be hinged on the reformation of the law. When that is done, it creates that balance in law and politics, and the two would live in harmony. And that is what we pray that Ghana would benefit from, rather than the uncertainty in the area when it happens, whether the bill term is met, whether bill is weaponized or not. I mean, there's a lot of jurisprudence on it, there are a lot of case studies and all of that. But the certainty of that particular area of law needs to be established so it is harmonized.
Okay, yeah, so the same thing, like you're saying, I think the matter of the reforms should be key. Let's go for it. So that tomorrow, I mean, we all, if any state institution, law enforcement agency calls you, you'll not be scared. Because, usually when they are calling you or they want to come for you, because getting bail is a nightmare, usually people don't want to go. Even Wontumi, the first time they went to his house with the arrest warrant, he had to shout, he had to do a broadcast. And then a lot of people came out, his supporters. So national security, they couldn't arrest him. Sorry?
I said Ghana phone, sorry.
Ghana phone, sorry. Yeah, that broadcast again.
No, but that was after.
No, before. That was the first attempt. They went to his house. They wanted to arrest him.
That was a call for help.
Yes. So, and people came and it prevented the arrest. It gathered a lot of people, so it prevented the arrest. So let's, modernize our laws on bail so that these things would stop. So that law enforcement agencies will rather concentrate on investigating the case proper and going to court. But when we don't, sometimes the bail, the arrest and the bail, like we are currently going, will suck up a lot of energy and time. This is needless.
Very well.
We should be interested in how the case will go to court. My last comment on it is that, so I'm happy the CID have finally made progress on the Galamsey case. We reported Chairman Wontumi and Akunta mining in the previous administration, but because of politics, Dampare and Fosna and Kofi, made sure that the case didn't go to court because they didn't want to touch Akufo-Addo's favorite party chairman. So thank God that yes. We made a lot of noise here. They wouldn't mind. They even told us, let me mention, they gave us only one update. And you know, when Ando Kofi called us for Sina, then Superintendent Inkum said they had invited Wontumi, arrested him, and then admitted him to bail. Meanwhile, they didn't invite us to come and witness that.
Any of
they
that.
didn't. And after that, that was it. You call, you send messages, letters, nothing. As I asked for Dampare and Ando Kofi, they didn't do this time any favors.
Should the protest stop now?
Which protest?
The protest for Wontumi's, the sit-in protest.
But they couldn't even
now
say that. You know,
Alexander, it's not for you. I'm talking to Dr. Zato. At this point, the protest can stop now, right?
I just do that. Anyway, I'm just asking.
Sometimes it's okay. It's funny when we see history repeating itself and continue repeating itself. It's good when we see this. But what I'm calling for, what I want to make most important about this is that Yoko, not only Yoko, but the cohesive arms of the state, both the investigative and other ones, must undertake some serious reforms. They shouldn't see the public as an enemy. And long gone the time when you think you can hold information or keep information from people. What we are saying is that if they had made information to flow, if they will be very liberal with information, and if they had told us the right things at the right time, probably this will not happen. And it's important that they do that because look, sometimes when these two elephants fight, the grass becomes distant. What they are sometimes doing is that they are putting the careers of the professionals working in this place into jeopardy. They are putting the careers of these people into jeopardy. Now, maybe there's an official, there's a trained official sitting at Iyoko just doing his job. But these things make it look like they are all partisan. This action then gives that perception that all partisan. So before you realize, the moment there's a change of government, they keep either people are being transferred late at night, people are being fired, people are being demoted, people's promotion are sat on. Just because they are political leaders or just because policymakers, political leaders, politicize their processes, but they cannot come out because of this political neutrality idea to talk for themselves. So sometimes we should understand that we are putting the careers of professionals jeopardy when we do this kind of things. So we should stay away from that. And the only way to do that is to make the process as transparent, to make the process as clear as possible, so that no matter what happens, because look, I can tell you some of the people who suffer most whenever there's a change of government, it's not only politicians who just career public servants. Men and women who have built their careers for 20 years, 30 years. All of a sudden, there's a change of government and then there's a perception that, oh, when you were there and Wontumi came, you were partisan in treating Wontumi this way. So tomorrow, before you realize, I transfer you to my hometown of Tumu, which is actually a nice place to be transferred, by the way. And then before you realize, your promotion is sat on for how many years? Then you probably go retirement with that promotion. And that is because when the two political parties are fighting, you don't have a voice, you cannot come and say anything. So can we take a stand to say that let's not put these career professionals in the line of fire? Can we do things in a more transparent, more accountable, fair way, irrespective of who it is? I will say that. We are quick to ignore that Wontumi is a human being. We are quick to ignore that Wontumi is a man, he has a wife, he has children, he's a normal mortal. We only look at his excesses on TV. When you just fixate on his excesses, you remove his humanity.
No, but no one is going after him.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that please don't put career public servants in the line of fire.
Right.
It may threaten their careers. Don't do that by these actions.
Fair point.
Again,
no, I'll come to you.
I'm just asking a question. Are they still at the Yoko?
No, today we don't have any indication they are
but
there.
They were there
Also, remember, they were at NIB last night.
They slept there.
No, they staged there for much of it.
I thought they said they were going to sleep during the Atofosson trial.
No, hang on.
MPs abandoned it and went to sleep. Remember they did that?
Yes.
It's the same thing. That's what I just repeated.
Let me tell you.
They abandoned Parliament.
Wontumi was arrested in Kumasi by Kofi Boakye.
No, will this be your final comment? If not, then wait for your final comment. Professor Janko, your final comment before we go.
Thank you very much. I want to make the point again that in this particular Wontumi case, we know that our history is littered politically with politically charged arrests, followed by, once the politically charged arrests take place, Then everybody is talking about it. Everybody is talking about it before you realize there is some strategic silence. Everybody goes to bed. And then charges eventually are dropped, or there are quiet plea bargainings, and we raise the matter up, and then we just lower it, and then nobody talks about it again. I'm of the view that Yoko's pursuit of justice must outlive this bogus political culture, such that if the man is culpable, he must not be shielded by the opaque architecture of elite immunity. But if he is not culpable, let the processes be resorted to and let him be exonerated. So long as people who want to go and picket, and so long as members of parliament or members of the minority group act within the confines of the law, I'm saying so long as people who want to go and picket, and so long as members of the minority group act within the confines of the law, let the minority group go sit on the floor if they so wish. But let the security agencies be also humane in handling those they arrest. At the same time, I will urge the security agencies that they should be firm in subjecting the arrestees through due processes. They should not be swayed by people haven't gone there to picket and people sitting on the floor. I mean, that shouldn't mean anything to them. If those doing that, if they are acting within the confines of the law, I mean, nothing stops them from doing that, ventilating or venting their disagreement and all that. Nothing stops them, so long as they work within the confines of the law. But if they don't go within the confines of the law, then the law must take its course. Let the security agencies be humane in dealing with those they arrest, but at the same time, let us ensure that due processes are resorted to. If the man is culpable, let the law take its course. If he's not culpable, the fact that he's a big fish wearing a party color, a party hat, should not lead to his exoneration. I think that these things do not help. And it's about Ghana's, is a test for the resilience and the strength and fortitude of Ghana's institution in ensuring that even those who are big fishes and people who are quote and unquote big men are able to be dealt with if they run afoul of our laws.
Very well, Prof. Thank you so much. Alex, I think you take us home on this one. You were asking me a question about whether or not they did protest last night.
But they didn't sleep there.
No, they didn't sleep there.
Initially, they thought that they were going to spend the whole night there, so I thought they slept there.
But your final comments for us. But then while you do that, my question to you will be whether this is tit for tat.
Oh, no. Oh, which one is the tit and which one is the
they've done it to us before, so let's do it to them.
No. If we were to be going that tangent, almost 60% of them would have been in cells by now. If we were to go that tangent that whatever they have done, we are going to give them a retaliation, they would have, about 60% of them would have been in cells. We are just going by those or going after those who have done something wrong against the law. But you see, Wontumi and his actions whenever he's arrested, it didn't start today. I think during the first term of President Mahama, that was when Senior Koibuachi was at Ashanti Regional as the regional police commander. He assaulted a member of parliament and then he invited him to the police station. The member of parliament went to report. So he was invited. He sat on radio and said that he will not come. And then finally for him, when he appeared there another time with his lawyers, he was arrested and detained. When you passed there that time at Kumasi Central Prison, MPP members went to stand there praying to God, clapping and praying that God should intervene for them to release Wontumi. Today, the same person has been arrested. The members of parliament are sitting on the floor It's funny. So that is what comes around him anytime he's arrested. He just wants to always take the people for the right. But listen, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Once Wontumi knows very well that he has not done anything wrong, and that all these charges coming up, he is ready to defend and then exonerate himself through his lawyers or whatever, at whichever forum. That's okay. But if he's unable to do that, then you should get ready for the consequences. Because the consequences, you will not get your way out like you got it in the past government, whereby there were clear things, as Nia was mentioning. Someone has gone to report you to the police about the destruction that you are causing to forest, and the police will not even give courtesy to even the complainants.
Yeah.
And go ahead and do what pleases them because your government was in power. You will get the president to come and stand on national platforms and defend you. It's past. This time around, you'll be subjected to every form of accountability. So just be ready for it. You can cry from tomorrow morning to the next day morning. No problem. But that will not defeat the purpose of whatever we want to do. You will answer any question that will be put before you. You are happy to have very good persons like an senior and happy and go to be defending you. Anyway.
Very well. I think we have to go now. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Zato, there is a question on Facebook for you. They say, what is Dr. Zato saying? Did Wontumi consider the ordinary Ghanaian when he was destroying the only source of water to a whole community? He's saying Wontumi's family is more important. Is he saying Wontumi's family is more important than the whole community or region? Don't forget, some Wontumi people are happy about his arrest. I think the person is referring to the caution at the CAID on those environmental issues. And that one came in for you, but you can't react. We are going. So, gentlemen, Christian Malmhelsi, private legal practitioner, Martin Pebu, private legal practitioner, Dr. Joshua Zato, policy analyst, Alexander Chumberima, Deputy Director General, Narcotics Control Commission, Professor Ransford Jampo. He's also the CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority. He's also a professor of political science. Earlier, there was a former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansasare. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and your insight on the subject matter. I am Keminni Amanor. This is Key Points. Bye-bye.